gets quite quick. Good morning. Let's call the work session agenda meeting to order with the Rankin County Board of Supervisors just a little bit after 9 o'clock, January 29th. At this time, Mr. Craig Slay, would you do our invocation for us, please? Thank you.
Let's pray. Father, what a beautiful day it is, and we thank you, Lord, for giving us this day so that we can come and serve the people of this community. I pray, Father, that you'll open our minds and our hearts to be receptive to your will today, and that, Father, wisdom and discernment would be given to these gentlemen as they make decisions that are important for all of us in this community. Father, thank you for those who serve us and do so without regard to their own personal safety. Father, I thank you for their sacrifices and the sacrifices of their family. I pray, Father, that you will return them all home safely to their families. In Christ's name.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. All right, we will call the Planning Meeting Commission to order. And at this time, we have consideration and approval of December 31st, 2014 minutes.
Motion approved.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Morrison. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Old business?
There is no old business.
Okay. Moving on, new considerations.
All right, the first item under new considerations is a rezoning with conditional use request for Richard Smith at 449 Williams Road. The property is located on the west side of Williams Road. It's a 9.19 acre parcel that's zoned RE1A. He's requesting to change the zoning to C2. If the zoning change is approved, he's requesting consideration of a conditional use permit for construction of a 2,508 square foot convenience store. This is just an aerial view of the property. The building will be constructed of insulated concrete block. This is just a site plan showing the building. This is where the building's going to sit on the property. He doesn't plan to sell any gas, but he does plan to sell beer. This is just the floor plan. And then these are the elevations of the building.
And I see it. There's nothing, what is around that? There's nothing that prohibits him from selling beer, I guess, right?
No.
No, sir,
Okay.
we checked and we
Well,
didn't
you know where it
see
is.
anything.
Where's it?
You know right where it is.
It's-
Come down Williams and went forks off Gulf
Okay.
McLean.
Yes.
Right there in that curve where
Right.
it used to be on the opposite side of the road is where he's going, but opposite side of where he's going is where there's used to be an old store and an old mobile home they
Right.
took down here
Yeah.
Last year.
Right.
It's right there in that
Okay,
curve.
good. Okay.
Why are they asking for both the rezoning and a conditional use?
He has to rezone from the RE1A to be able to have a convenience
Fit the
store there.
criteria.
Yes,
That's
right.
right. It wouldn't be allowed in the RE1A, so
Right.
he's asking to rezone to the C2. But in the C2, it's allowed as a conditional use, so he would have to come and see if he could be granted.
So why not just make it a C3? Or
Well,
is that not what a convenience store is?
They're allowed in the C2, but as a conditional use where you can look at them on a site-by-site or a case-by-case basis
Okay.
to see if they
Yeah.
would fit.
All right.
Don't confuse things, Mr. Bishop.
Okay.
Well, I got a question. Just in the future, if there was, later down the road, one chose to sell gas, or let's just say it changed hands to someone else, and they thought, I'm gonna put some gas pumps in here. Is this something that would prohibit them from doing that, or is there enough? I'm just thinking down the road, that could always be to come back up. How would we handle that?
Anything that's over $10,000 would have to come back for a site plan review, anything they were doing over that.
Well, I mean, is it enough room, enough setback for him to be able to help?
He does have enough room
Yeah.
there.
What
Okay.
size parcel?
9.19 acres.
See,
Yeah, I
it does
think-
have a-
yeah, I think you got enough
There
room,
is
yeah.
a
Layout's
high
an acre.
transmission power line on the property and also a smaller line, so, placement is limited,
And
and
that
he's
would-
using 2 acres for this.
That would also have to go through DEQ also, wouldn't it? As far as if they did gasoline, right?
For the tanks, yes.
Right. Okay.
No, I was just really kind of thinking for him,
Right.
you know, if he chose later date, I assume you're gonna set it back far enough where if that came up, you know, you could do that for future.
Okay.
After we went out to the site, we realized that there were some site distance issues for this property, and so we contacted Dale and Buster and got them to take a look at it as well. Mr. Parker does have some concerns, and he may want to speak to that, but I'll just go ahead and show the pictures. This is an actual view of the property at the intersection of McCullough-McLean Road where it comes out. This is another view of that property.
Now, that was signed before, that was coming down
That's
McCullough
looking-
McLean, right?
That's correct.
Where it runs into, okay, I
Right.
got it, I'm with you.
And then, I'm not sure how much you can tell from this picture, but the entrance and exit would be somewhere kind of along in this area. And because of the bank and the curve of the road, there's limited sight distance.
Right.
And Mr. Parker's concerned about safety issues there.
Whose bank is that? Is that his?
It's Mr. Smith's bank.
Is, okay.
So how would,
You'd have to clear those trees out.
And Buster wants him to, or recommends that he grade down the bank there.
Right.
It's
Level
gonna
with
have
the
to be
road.
graded down.
yeah, for site?
And we talked to Mr. Smith about this yesterday, and what we need to get now is, we need some survey data, some topo data, because it don't have any contour to show even how the property's gonna drain, which I don't think that's gonna be a major problem. But I wanna see something before the permit is approved, or this situation is approved, something showing me that bank's gonna be cut down so we can have sight distance in both directions, which is extremely important, because this is a real sharp curve, and in the other direction, there's a hill.
Sure.
They're gonna be coming off of. So, anyway, we requested some, I told him he could get his engineer, get him in touch with me, and I could explain exactly what we felt like was needed. That bank's gonna have to go for any type of driveway in there.
Okay.
Okay, so, but.
So these will be, we're gonna, these will be some of the conditions then, but he's gonna meet with, set up a meeting with him for y'all?
Yeah, I told him to just have his engineer, who is Tommy Bailey, and I've dealt with Tommy in the past on some things, just have him get in touch with me, and I'll tell him what we need to see.
Okay, so what we're looking at today is to set the public hearing?
That's correct, and I believe we want to change that to the second meeting in March to give him some additional time to gather the information.
Okay, instead of the second,
It
move
would
it
be
to
the
the
16th, I believe.
16th? Okay, so that would be on March the 16th, 2015. Do I have a motion to set that public hearing?
So move.
Motion by Mr. Morrison.
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item B.
All right, the second item is a conditional use with dimensional variance request for Old Fannin Road self-storage at 1188 Old Fannin Road. The property is located on the west side of Old Fannin Road. It's a 5-acre parcel that's zone C2. There's some existing mini storage facility on this property. And in the aerial, there are 13 buildings, mini storage buildings on the property today. There's also 2 open front boat covers there as well. We received a report that Old Fannin Road Self-Storage had expanded their mini warehouse facility by adding 5 additional storage buildings without obtaining the necessary zoning and building permits. And so we did a comparison of aerial photography. This is in 2006. There were 8 buildings on the property in 2006. This is a view in 2013, and you can see that these 5 buildings have been added to the property. When the first buildings were placed on the property, Mr. Frazier did obtain a building permit for those buildings, but he did not come back for the zoning or building permits for these 5 buildings. He confirmed that 3 were added in '07 and 2 were added in '09. We had asked also that he get us a drainage plan for Mr. Parker to review. We have not received anything at this time. This is a picture of the facility on Old Fannin. That's another view. This is a home that adjoins that property to the north, an office building to the south, and then across on the east side of Old Fannin you have Tire Depot, little retail strip center, and Penn's Fish House. Mr. Frazier is here today if you have any questions.
Where's Mr. Frazier? Now I've gotten a call or two on this. Do we have drainage issues out there right now?
We can't get the data, so I don't know. We've asked for the data.
From what I understand, from landowners, that we're having some drainage issues, flooding going on, and I don't know if it's from the storage units or what we've got going
Well,
on.
drainage issues should be a concern because if you look at the raw land, it's covered up with rooftops and concrete out there now.
Right.
All that water's gonna run off faster, it's gotta go somewhere. And we've asked through Renee and them to get the drainage computation as well as some survey data so we can determine if the adjacent property is being harmed in any way.
Okay.
Because of the additional construction, and we don't have that.
Do we have any complaints
Yeah, we've had some
Yeah.
on
complaints.
that drainage from there?
Yes, from that. That's what they're assuming, and that's what I need my professionals to look to see if that's what's causing that, then that's what we need to get to the root of the problem.
Sure.
Well, not only that, they didn't do a building permit.
Exactly,
So we gotta
no.
go through the whole process of,
Twice.
Twice.
well, at least once.
Well, that's what she said, twice, I guess, right?
They had building permit for the very first
First.
buildings that were put out there. That, I think they may have, it was 100 units, they had a permit for that.
Right.
But these 5 buildings, they did not go through
But they did
zoning
it
or
in 2
building
different
permits.
increments?
07, 09?
Well, he said that he built 3 in '07 and 2 in '09.
And neither one of those got permits?
Neither.
Okay, so 2 different,
And you can expand a non-conforming use without coming for the zoning approval and,
so you don't have to have a permit?
I'm sorry?
So you don't have to have a
You
permit?
do have to, but you should get your zoning, he should have come and asked to expand
Gotcha.
the use.
Okay,
Zoning is dealt with separately, permit
right.
is dealt with after there are the issues related to the permitting process, the type of structure, the materials, the drainage issues. That's all part of the permitting. So the zoning is one issue, permitting is another issue.
Well, since it's already there, what are our options?
Yeah. You know, I like to deal in practical reality, Jay. Obviously, we are entitled to receive all the data that we require to deal with the drainage issues. And so that has to be done. And if that's not done, then our options are to ask a court to enter an order requiring that it be done. And so that would be, probably that would be the next step in the process unless that information is provided. The other options that we have are that based on the violation of the zoning ordinance, that is that the units were installed with no zoning approval of any kind, there are repercussions to that. Those are spelled out in the zoning ordinance. The permit fees, because there were no permits issued, we have repercussions there. Generally, that's limited though to a doubling of the actual permit fee that would otherwise have been charged. That's the penalty for that. So you can sort of stack those things up. But obviously, you know, as legal counsel, I'm concerned that we need data related to the drainage issues, and we're not being provided that.
So we're not gonna have to go through the whole process of a public hearing though, right?
According to this, it is.
Well, we will receive an application for the zoning.
Okay.
And we will receive information related to the building permit if we're gonna move the process forward without having to get a court involved.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get all of that, and we'll
We-
set the hearings accordingly.
We do have an application for zoning now.
Okay.
Do we have a
We're already
refusal
moving
to
the
provide
process of
data?
what this review is, so, yeah, we're looking at it my thought is that we need to get this drainage data before we proceed too far.
Well, I mean, and I guess
What's
that's,
a reasonable amount of time for for an engineer to get that information, Buster?
Depends on, excuse me, depends on what kind of information he may have on file. You know, because mainly what we're gonna look for is what the flow was before these other units were added and where it was going versus now that these new units, these last units are installed, what's happening to that water, where it's going, and what amount it is. And if we're having problems with surrounding property, or if the after construction flow is considerably greater than the before construction flow of those facilities, then detention's got to go in somewhere. You know, and that might be something that the end result is a detention area may have to be provided. You can carry detention underground sometime if you don't have room for something above ground. Those are the things, and I don't know what status. I'm not even aware if the engineer, the engineer has been out there and looked at it and provided them the data. We've requested this data. I don't remember how long ago it was, but we haven't heard no word. I assume there wasn't any concern there.
So if someone in your company was to go on site and start this work, we talking about a week, a month, 2 months? What's a reasonable amount of time to?
Oh, probably a couple of weeks.
so will we have, if we start today, will we have that information, or could we have that information before the public hearing set for 3/2, what's on the proposed schedule?
Well, the question there is, the engineer for the developer might get his work done, but then provide it to me the day before the meeting. And that won't.
Which wouldn't give you enough time to look at it.
I think we're squeezing it a little tight.
Mhm.
I think we need to look at it.
That's what I was gonna ask, if we
Maybe
need to
15?
make,
Isn't the gentleman here that is making this request?
yes, it's right here.
Sir, do you have the engineering data available?
No,
You plan on getting it?
if I need to get it, I'll get it.
Have you been asked for it?
I have, those buildings have been out there for 25 years.
25 years?
I started building them in 92,
Right.
and the whole plan was to build storage buildings on the whole lot. And I built them as we had time to build them, because I've got other business also. And we had just gotten around to building these last 2 buildings, and I didn't get a permit on them. And I should have, but I didn't. And if I had, I would have seen that it had been zoned C2. But I had no idea they would come in on the interior section of my property and change zoning where I couldn't build storage buildings on the rest of my lot. If I had, I would have objected to it when they zoned it.
Well, I don't think from the very beginning your property was zoned correctly. I think you got conditional use.
Well,
He,
I think all of it should be conditional use.
Right. Well, I think that's where we are today.
his
So-
existing buildings were grandfathered in because they were there before zoning was adopted.
So he never had to get conditional use from the
No.
first building?
Not before.
We didn't have
He
zoning.
should have come when he went to expand the facility.
Right.
And he did not.
All right.
Also, one other thing, the dimensional variance, the ordinance requires him to have 30 feet between the buildings, the distance between buildings, and he has 18 for these new ones. So he's asking for a 12-foot dimensional variance as well.
Wow, that's even, it's not uncommon for us to give a variance, but it's to 20 feet, isn't it?
Most people's are 25, but these are actually 18.
With 18 feet, is that enough room to turn 2 people to pass each other?
It's really more of a fire hazard issue as well. Generally speaking, that 30-foot clearance is a fire break. So there's multiple health, safety, welfare issues involved.
All right, so what is council? What is your recommendation?
But we're just setting the public hearing. I think what we need to do today is to figure out what's a good logical date.
Right.
That we could anticipate having enough information available for you guys to make a decision on. I'm gonna suggest to you that it needs to be in April, not March.
Okay.
That first meeting would be the 6th, April 6th, I believe.
all of these other issues are essentially, they're gonna be related to the data that is provided relative to draining. I think that could control a lot of what your decision is about what needs to be done.
Correct.
Okay, so I don't really think we need to have a hearing to determine how to address this if we don't have the
Right.
data.
Right.
So
Yeah, we're-
Okay.
I think an April first meeting probably would be sufficient.
Yeah, because we're sitting blind without information.
What date is that?
The 6th.
I make a motion to set the public hearing for the 6th of April.
Motion by Mr. Bishop. Second by Mr. Keith. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
I'll give you enough time to get something done, I hope.
Make sure you get with Miss Renee and our attorney, and let's get everything, all of the information you can to us so we can absolutely look at it before we can make some determinations, please. Item C.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
This is a nuisance property hearing, a District 1 property at Mulliken Road. Jimmy Lindsay, nuisance property, Mulliken Road, District 1. This time we'll open that public hearing. I'll ask if Mr. Lindsay or Ms. Lindsay is here. Okay. Please come forward. Renee, if you will, walk us through those photos and give us a report on the condition of the property.
All right, we received several complaints regarding this property. These pictures were taken October 28th, showing the condition of the property, but the complaint was about inoperable vehicles being stored on the property, possible mechanic shop, and people occupying or living in these camper trailers.
These are yesterday's.
These were back, these are the first pictures that were taken on
Oh, that's
October
14.
28th.
Okay.
The certified mail has all been received. We have received some correspondence back from an attorney. Okay.
Okay.
All right, and then next, we have a video showing the property yesterday. And this is where it starts on that property.
Looks like some of the cars have been gone.
What are all the campers? What?
Light pole.
Light pole might have a little attention.
Yeah. What? What are the campers for? What are they used for?
One of the campers is owned by Mississippi State Guard, and I'm refurbishing it for them for a command center. I'm a member of the State Guard, and of course we're called out, when we have emergencies and stuff, like Katrina and
Right.
tornadoes and what have you. So we're building a command center out of that, equipping it with radios and stuff. And as soon as I get that done, it'll be moved out to the Raymond Road Armory where we operate out of.
Right.
That's why I'm here, because what fix him, is gonna fix us.
I understand. How long have you been working on that to get that ready?
3 or 4 months.
Okay. How close are you to getting it ready?
We're just about finished with it. Here next week or two, we're gonna carry it up to the Delta to where our radio guy is going to install all the radios.
Wonderful. So it'll be off your property completely in
Yeah,
about a week or
yes.
so. Okay.
What about the rest of the stuff? But I'm honest with you, they have received numerous phone calls. No problem.
Book that I put together.
Show this man right here. That'd be great. He's a. There you go. Thank you.
Does anybody live on the property?
No.
It's just a shop. It's not a restaurant. It is not a business.
It's not a business,
No, sir, it's
so
not.
you're not.
What I do is I preserve history. I refurbish primarily military vehicles and equipment for display. We do parades. We've done static displays at the Brave Stadium and the Pearl Library. We do all that kind of stuff. We go to schools for, special projects for history and what have you. And we have a display at the Trail of Honor. We use some of the vehicles to ride the Medal of Honor recipients,
No.
around the Trail of Honor and what have you.
Right. Are you doing all of what you're just mentioning on this property?
Yes, sir. Uh-huh.
So you really have nothing undercover, it looks like, that you're actually working everything outside, it looks like.
Well, we have a shop and we just have one vehicle at a time. And I buy military vehicles to keep them from being crushed and what have you. And sometimes I have to buy cars or something. Most of the time when I buy stuff, it's somebody that's lost their health and they got to sell them, to raise money to pay for that. And sometimes I have to buy vehicles I really don't want because they're selling it as a package. And when they deliver it, they put it down at the shop. Sometimes it takes me quite a while, 2 or 3 weeks maybe, to move them out because I have to park them out front because it's down in a holler and it's real low land, and the trucks that bring them in can't put them in the back because they bog down.
Right.
So, I move them. As you saw from the video, most everything in the front was gone yesterday.
Well, things that he put in the back, he puts in the back with a tarp on there behind his house. But things that he just got or he hadn't started working on yet, sometimes, they are outside. But he gets them back behind there as soon as he can.
What is the zone?
I'm sorry?
Zoning, what is it?
It's RE1A, the property zone residential, but the code doesn't allow for open storage of inoperable vehicles.
Right.
If you're trying to work on them, they have to be in an enclosed structure.
Right.
Yeah, but that zoning ordinance was passed after he bought the property and started doing it.
We have a letter from an attorney that said he bought it in 2012. Zoning was adopted in 2004.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Well, might be a good time.
Might be a good time to talk about
All
this.
right.
Since we're the ones that make the decision, I'd like to hear how did that,
The reason it affects us is because he does so much free work for us. For example, he just refurbished the bus so that we can, a lot of guys don't really have enough money to pay for gas to go down to we're going to Biloxi this year. And so we needed a bus, and it was a lousy looking bus, but he made it look like a really good bus. And when I got this letter, the ordinance that was quoted to me was 2013. And now I agree with her that the 2004 is the one that applies, but the point of both of them is what is he doing with vehicles? And let's see if I can find that. If you want to start with calling it a nuisance, it's not a nuisance under common law, and I don't believe that building goes long, but I could find a definition of a nuisance in there, but that property is not a nuisance because it's not dangerous to the public. It's not an eyesore. It's not it's not the type of thing that you would call a nuisance, like a lumber. What y'all quoted, what the letter you got quoted was 302.3, and that was a part of the 2013 amendments to the International Property Maintenance Code, which is somebody wrote that, and a lot of people started adopting it. And
Our letter referenced the 2006 International Property Maintenance Code that was adopted by the county, section 302.8.
okay. Y'all didn't copy me in. But in any event, we can talk about either one of them. You want to talk about the 2004, that's fine. It comes down to what constitutes a nuisance and what you can do with automobiles, and what he's doing, I think, let me see if I can quote that 2004. That's 2012, y'all redid everything. Yes, well, yes, ma'am. We're sure you look at that, because y'all adopted a new version of that.
Yeah.
God, there's a case, a Brandon case, Wheatley versus Brandon, and they talk about what's a nuisance, in quote, the ordinance. Nuisance is an act, omission, condition, or thing that injures or endangers the comfort, repose, health, or safety of others. Now, none of that is true here. I mean, he's out in the country. The reason this case was one reason was it was run completely, had a farm and he had all these vehicles leaking oil and had rats coming out, and it's more of an environmental thing than anything else. But the first letter from me said that 2013, because I'm getting blind in my old age, but that's what I got. But it doesn't matter. We can talk about either one of them.
I think we're just talking about it's the unsightliness, and, you know, we didn't generate this. People that live out there are the ones who call us and report these things.
And we don't go looking for these places. I'm telling you, it is neighbors, it is people that pass by, and I understand. Look, I'm a veteran myself, and I understand. Believe me, I promise you, I thank you for what you do for the service.
Well, most all the vehicles there, they're titled, tagged, inspection stickers, and insured.
Right.
And they're very valuable.
Right.
And I bring parts vehicles on there that I take parts off when I'm restoring something, so I can keep it as close to original as possible.
Right.
Which helps the value.
Right, but the problem being is it is out of compliance, and that's where it kind of comes down to. You know, it's not. You know, and I understand. You know, it may look a lot better. You know, fenced around and everything else, but when it comes right down to it, it comes down to compliance. Because does it meet the compliance? And if I'm not mistaken, I'll let our attorney address that, because it does. You know, if we allow you guys to do that, then all of a sudden we've opened it up to compliance issues all over, no matter what.
Well, if you look in the book, a quarter mile from me one way is a place that's a lot bigger and worse than mine, been there for years. And then you go a mile the other direction, there's another place that looks like it's frozen because nothing has changed in 2 or 3 years.
And again,
there's pictures in there, and they're all over the county.
There is a case that says if you don't uniformly enforce an ordinance, then it's unconstitutional because it's statutorily vague.
And that's what we're trying to do. I can assure you, sir. It's
What
not.
we do,
It's
the
not
way
we're
that's
trying to.
handled, excuse me, the way that's handled though, you and I spoke earlier.
Yes, sir.
We don't, like the President said, we don't go out looking for them. If someone makes a complaint on a different one, then our people will do it. It's kind of like, I use an example, Sheriff's Department, there's a complaint filed, he has to look into it. Same thing here. There's not many complaints made. The difference in one of those I know you're talking about is they are quite a bit further off the road. And the one that, in fact, that's a little further west of you, he is quite a bit further off the road. And you're right, we've never had anybody say anything. Yours is closer to the road. I don't know why I have gotten numerous, and they have gotten numerous phone calls about it. And I think we started this, several months ago as far as talking about it. You know, I don't know, and I'm just saying this, I don't know because it's down a hill whether if you had it completely fenced off where it was unseen, if that would be the answer. I don't know if it would cover it up because it is down that hill. I'm familiar with where it is. You know, you say you're not living there. You know, I don't, and I'm going by your word, but I'm also hearing others say there's somebody there most of the time. So I don't know which way to go on that one. I'm just hearing this story, your story.
Well, there is somebody there most all the
My word as
time.
an attorney, he don't live there.
Well, maybe not live there, but are you there? Do you stay there quite a bit?
I don't stay there at all. I live in Jackson.
Okay.
I have a mechanic that works in the daytime with a regular job, and he comes down there and works at night on some of my stuff.
Does he spend the night there sometime?
Sometimes he does, most
Okay,
of the
well,
time
maybe,
he
and maybe
stays.
that's what they meant, someone, they didn't, may
Yeah.
not knew it was you, but someone
And, you know, we may
was
be out
living
there at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning doing stuff, you know. So there's
Part of it-
activity going on there, because I have a friend that lives next door to me, and he's down there a lot. He can't sleep at night sometimes. He'll go down there and work. So you could come by there most any hour of the day or night, and there may be somebody there with lights on and what have you.
Is this how you make your living, doing this?
Oh, no, sir.
Oh, I don't do it I don't make any money off of it. It costs me money.
He does this for free.
It's a hobby.
That's why I'm here.
Okay.
Because he does stuff for us for
Right.
free.
Yeah, I spend thousands of dollars with Rankin County businesses every year for goods and services and stuff.
Yeah, that
You know,
bus
I've
is
got a
nice.
grill down at Mr. Morrison's place now that he's working on for me.
By the
for
way,
one of
it's
my
ready.
vehicles.
By the way, it is ready.
Is it ready? Okay,
Yeah,
great.
it's real good.
I think we need to decide which ordinance applies, because there's not that much difference. There's just a tiny bit of difference. You know, the letter, like I said, I understood it 2013 was the date. Is it is on prior to that, there is still changes, you know.
Correct me, though.
We haven't, we adopted the 2006 International Property Maintenance Code. We haven't adopted any other codes besides the 2006.
Well, ma'am.
And that's what the letter
That letter,
states.
Would you look at the first one?
This is the letter.
We're so far afield on what we need to be dealing with or addressing here.
I was fixing to say, can,
Wrap it up in my opinion.
yeah, I'd like to get the attorney to kind of wrap everything to put it back into perspective.
We just need to close the public hearing.
Okay.
I'll give you guys sort of a brief summation
Okay.
of where I think we are here. So we'll close that public hearing. There were a couple of things that I heard during the presentation that sort of jumped out at me. Renee mentioned that there had been some discussion from the residents out there about folks living there. And you have heard that that's not so, that no one lives there. But I did hear the statement that he parks his vehicles behind his house. And so that seems to indicate something there. The use of the phrase, he does so much free work for us, seems to suggest that there is other work going on out there that is not free.
No, sir.
And so the public hearing is closed. It also, there was also the statement made that it takes some time to get the vehicles moved off of the property, which seems to suggest that they are there not just for the purpose of being stored there, they're being sold from there after they're worked. Now, these are all observations that I'm making just on the basis of what I've heard today. I'm just suggesting to you that there seems to be some conflicting data. But put all that to the side. Put all of that to the side. The issue of the enforceability of your nuisance ordinance is what is being suggested that you don't have, and obviously we know better than that. And so the issue of nuisance comes down to what is being conducted on the property. Property is zoned RE1A. It's residential. So the use of open storage on the property is per se a violation of the zoning ordinance. Forget nuisance. It's a violation of the zoning ordinance. Now, it's a nuisance, in my opinion, anyway, but you've got a clear zoning ordinance violation sitting on that screen right there in front of you. And so that's something that you have the right, the ability to enforce. My suggestion would be to have your Office of Community Development refer both of the violations, both the zoning ordinance violation and the nuisance violation, up to Justice Court under our standard operating procedure, what we normally do, and issues about enforceability, constitutionality of the ordinance, when it was adopted, what ordinance. Let the Justice Court sort that all out. So all we need to take care of today is for you to hear what you've heard, see what you've seen on the screen here today, and make that simple finding and move on.
Okay. With all that being said, do I have a motion to entertain this?
Sir, if I may, I don't make a penny out of anybody. I don't try to make a penny out of anybody down there. I'm only restoring my own personal vehicles and doing stuff for the State Guard and doing repair work on some of my company vehicles that
Right.
that we own.
I understand.
That's all that's going on.
Truly understand, and the public hearing is closed, and like I said again, I'm a veteran of the Air Force, 6 years. Love what you're doing. The bottom line is, it's just not in the right place at where it just does not conform to where it needs to be. And and that's the sad part about it. Love what you're doing. I'm telling you, I think all five of us think that you're doing a wonderful job. It's just not in the right place, and that's just my
And
perspective.
all these other places in the county are.
We have a lot, we've addressed many of them, and like I said,
Many.
public hearing closed, but I do want to tell you that we've addressed many that may even be lesser than you are. And in most time, it comes down to what he said, the location of where they are. And we don't go out solicited, we just have to enforce what we have to
Well,
work
can I
with.
put a fence up in front? Does that take care of the problem?
If it'll get it out of the sight of the people going by, I would hope so.
I don't know what height fence it would take because it's down the hill. Was my only question when I mentioned that, because 8 foot I don't think would cover it.
Well, I was thinking when I first got the property about putting the fence, keep people seeing, what's down there, where they won't have curiosity to go down there
Probably
and, steal something.
If I could make a quick suggestion, a fence would certainly help, but I think screening, vegetative screening would probably be the best answer here. Some sort of fast-growing vegetation, like what was over there that we're going to use over there? Junipers or spring, Leland cypress, there we go, Leland cypress.
They're popular.
Something like that.
I prefer that anyway, because
That's fine, the snake under there saying, there's snakes all in there, we want that thing cut down. I'm gonna raise, what?
Well, we can't.
Well, we have that a lot of times too. But that is what does create some problems, especially if you have, you got old vehicles there, not say old, wrecked vehicles there, may have a flat tire, contains water, which is a mosquito haven. And I know some of them on trailers bound to have flats and hold water. And some of them sitting back in the back where you're stored. We also have to look at that. And I know that's hard to control, but we have we do a lot to try to control the mosquito situations, and that's one of the things that we hear about a lot of times either.
Well, I spray it every year.
Okay.
Garlic type spray that I have.
Okay.
Well, I just need to put him under oath and just tell him what he does, because those cars rotate so much. I mean, you might have a car temporarily in the front, and then 2 weeks later it's gone, but they stay there until he gets a chance to work on it. But every car he can, put it in the back, he puts it in the back with a tarp on it.
Open storage on RU1A.
Is not allowed.
See, it's not zoned that way.
Right out of the box, there is not one thing.
Does not conform to.
You mean if I park my car out in the yard because I gotta go do something with it, and, or I have neighbors coming over or friends going, that's a violation.
That's a little different.
This is a storage issue, and clearly those vehicles are being stored on that lot. Nobody's
being
talking
parked.
about a personal vehicle,
Okay.
and been a word said about personal
Well-
vehicles, so I just think we need to move on.
Well, is the vegetation, if I agree to plant whatever it is you're talking about, I have no problem with
I
that.
just
I'd love
don't
to
know
do
that it's gonna
anyway.
grow fast enough.
What you guys need to do today can be done, and then the issue of how we address it or redress the issues, we will have time to sort all that out.
Right.
And so, what we can do
Explain
today-
how it takes time.
What we can do today is, there can, again, I'm not gonna put words in your mouth.
Right.
Board. If you decide to proceed with the declaration of nuisance, a declaration of a zoning ordinance violations, and authorize your community development office to proceed to justice court, that referral, you can dictate that referral be delayed for some period of time to allow for discussions about getting it into compliance. I would suggest that we do that, since you've heard from the gentleman that he would like to find a way to resolve it. And it seems like he may be open to something that would work, like the vegetation, that would be a screen.
Or
okay?
fence.
So let's do the referral, let's give it 30 days, put a trigger of 30 days on it. That gives them 30 days to come up with a plan to deal with the sightline. Okay?
Okay.
After 30 days, there's been no agreement, there's been no effort. Renee's authorized to proceed, file it. And then all of the issues that you've heard and the arguments and placing people under oath and whatnot, that all will be done in justice court.
I thought Lincoln County.
Depends. on how it's gonna
It's on
handle.
appeal.
It's gonna go to justice court first.
Well, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
That sounds about as fair as I know how to handle it.
Sure, we'll.
Okay.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this.
So move, I'll make the motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Morrison, second by Mr. Keith. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Item D.
All right,
That nuisance property?
Yes.
Okay, good. This time we'll conduct the Martha Bates Estate nuisance property. This is 123 Pole Bridge Road, a District 4 property. I'll ask if there's anyone here with the Martha Bates Estate. Anyone? Mr. President, I don't see anyone here. We'll ask Renee to go through the photos.
all right, we've received numerous complaints here, also about abandoned, dilapidated manufactured home. There used to be another mobile home on the property that burned. This mobile home was mainly for storage at that time. Since the other home burned, they were getting complaints of people going in and out of this mobile home. In July, when these pictures were taken, there was a complaint about the condition of the property with the grass and just rubbish and debris. The certified mail was received and we've been contacted. They asked if they could renovate the manufactured home, but they never moved forward and submit a scope of work to do that. So we had given them additional time to get that into us, and they have not. So we have this is a picture of an open sewer on the property, a video from yesterday. This is the just conditions of the property.
Much better, Dwayne.
There is a good bit of rot under the mobile home. This is mainly just the outside, the condition of the property. I skipped one
It's a
showing the
safety hazard
interior of
for
the
sure.
mobile home, but I'll go back to it.
Man, I like
I'll
the
make a
move.
motion to close the
Yeah.
public hearing.
Okay.
Make a motion to declare it a nuisance.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Bishop. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Y'all can't tell, I've had some calls on it too.
I wouldn't know, I don't know why. Okay.
Christine, who's the property?
You missed that. And do we have any more new considerations? Okay. Site plan architectural review?
No, sir.
Nothing on that. Okay, the next meeting will be held Thursday, February 26th, 9 a.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Mr. Morrison. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. This time we'll call to order the meeting of the Rankin County Board of Supervisors. And love to have, I know we've got the mayor on here, but Mayor, if you got 1 second, I need to have Mr. Bob Wedgeworth, EOC Director, if you would come forward for about a few minutes and update us on some bills.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was not anticipating coming down here this morning, but I think she's giving you out a letter that's going to kind of explain it. And if you don't mind, I'll read the letter and
Yes,
then
sir.
go into explanation. As you know, Senate Bill 2577, Operation Quarterback, was passed out of the Senate Energy Committee yesterday with some amendments made by Senator Burton, and the bill now moves to the Senate Finance Committee. With this being said, our county level advocate was questioned about our compromise with the carriers. Our advocate explained that meetings were held several months ago and the opportunity to compromise was offered and the invitation was declined by the carriers. It is my position that the counties have compromised with the carriers since 1998. For example, the $31.3 million currently in the carrier's cost recovery fund was not requested by the counties. Excuse me. Melissa and I will continue to work with Steve Gray and the Mississippi Association of Supervisors. However, we feel that the opportunity to negotiate for the current legislation has passed. To our knowledge, there is currently not another piece of legislation that can impact services statewide that would not increase surcharges or taxes. It is our belief that you share the same passion to represent the interests of your local taxpayers. That is why I'm asking again that you contact anyone associated with this legislation, the governor, the lieutenant governor, all senators and representatives, to ask for their support in this bill. We need to remind all of our elected officials how beneficial this legislation will be for them, for their families, and for the public they represent. That being said, what happened yesterday, after we had a good meeting, we thought everything was moving forward. One of the staff members of the lieutenant governor asked about why we didn't compromise. And it is the position of the Mississippi Association of Supervisors that we have compromised, and we offered compromise to them. We've had meetings, and they declined to negotiate at all. And basically all we can do is invite them to negotiate. But if they decline, our hands are tied. And so just like I said, in saying that, we need to recontact them. We're going to send this letter out to our representatives to ask them to move forward. Not only our representatives, but for them also to contact the governor, lieutenant governor, tell them how important this bill is to us at the local level.
And this is the 911, is that correct?
Yes, this is Operation Quarterback.
Okay.
And I think you've all got, and I made some
Yes.
more copies, but I know you've all got, attachments and.
Right.
and I've been trying not to bother you guys, and I know, Craig has done some work, and we've been back and forth.
And just to clarify just a little bit, I think if I'm not mistaken, is there not a rush on this because it's coming up pretty quick?
Yeah.
I think the finance committee has to take it up by next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, okay. The reason why I want to,
Wasn't
Yes.
there an offer made of 12.5 cents a year for the next 2
12 and
years?
a half and 12 and a half is was the amendment offered by Senator Burton, which, basically gives us our quarter, which is what we've been asking for.
After 2 years.
Yes, sir. But, unfortunately, somehow Senator Fillingane, who is the chairman, has been unavailable to discuss the matter with Steve Gray or any of us. And like I say, when I say any of us, I'm working with Steve Gray on this matter for,
Right.
the Association of Supervisors. So, we have meetings, and I've been contacting the local EMAs, and we've been, going up there, and we want to continue to go up there because I want to get the representatives, from other jurisdictions and other counties to come up there and talk to their people, and that's what we've been doing. But, I want y'all to know that it seems like there may be some resistance from within Rankin County, and that's why, I'm here addressing y'all, where we can get our representatives to talk to the governor and lieutenant governor about how important this is, not just to Rankin County, but to, everybody in the state of Mississippi.
well, and you got don't you have, I think you kind of addressed this, but what does that boil down to in dollar figures approximately per year?
Approximately in 2 years, if it passes like it is, for Rankin County, just the rough estimate based on, 80%, which is the national average for people that own cell phones. Based on, and this is a wild guess, because I'm basing it on the national percentages. 80% of our population has a cell phone. For Rankin County, once this comes in, that's going to be an additional $300,000 to $360,000 per year into the 911 fund for Rankin County alone.
Right.
With no additional cost to anyone.
Which is basically what our taxpayers are paying in
They're
for their
already,
cell phones already. We're just
everybody
not
sitting in
receiving
here
it
that's
back.
got a cell phone is paying that.
And we're just
Everybody.
not receiving it back.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
It's going into the CMRS fund presently. The legislation is designed to divert a portion of it, the quarter that you've heard, the quarter back, divert a portion of that $1 fee, monthly fee that's charged to each cell phone carrier,
Right.
out directly to the county. So it doesn't go into the CMRS fund, but rather goes to the county, the purposes of expenditure expand exponentially.
Right.
Those dollars can be used to actually support the 911 system instead of sitting over in a CMRS fund that has a
That's-
lockdown on it.
Right,
That's earmarked strictly for the carriers.
right. That we're,
They do their upgrades out of that money.
gotcha.
There's $31.3 million sitting in it.
So our taxpayers are not
What did you mean
benefiting
by
from what they're
there's some
paying into.
Friction, some of our elected
Yeah.
officials are not pushing for this, or in support.
Well, when I say that, I haven't been able to speak directly with, and I've asked for meetings with the Lieutenant Governor's office. We have spoken with his representatives up to a certain point. Then they've changed staff members, and the staff member that is supposed to be working with us, we hadn't been able, well, I've got no return for his phone call. So they understand part of it, but, I understand how the system works. I know the carriers are, helping some of those guys, which, that's the way it is. But, that's why I'm asking you guys to contact them, because, there's a certain, comfort level that I work within. I don't mind going and talking to them, but, at some point, when the Mississippi Association of Supervisors representative, if you're not gonna talk to him, then it doesn't matter what Bob Wedgeworth said, because I'm speaking on behalf of Rankin County. But I also, want those, legislators and the lieutenant governor and governors to know that this is impacting Rankin County. This is impacting where they live. This is impacting, the services for their family. And,
Yeah.
like I said, that's the word we're trying to get out.
But we are receiving the money on the landlines, am I correct?
We're getting 98 cents out of every dollar paid on the landline.
Right.
And basically, this legislation is putting us more in line with the landline usage.
The
or
problem
with the landline fee.
Problem being is that we've come into technology with everyone having cell phones, but yet we're not receiving our fair share back as
That's
in
correct.
like landlines. So
It's-
let's just boil it down.
It's the double-edged sword, and the sheriff can tell you, and he may want to speak on this. And the way I explain it, 25 years ago, when we had a wreck on I-20, we were getting 4 or 5 phone calls. Now we're getting 80. Well, our dispatchers have to answer every call that comes into the 911 system. A couple of weeks ago, when we had the pipeline explosion, we got 400 and something calls.
Well over 200 in the first 5 or 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Huge.
200 calls in the
Right.
first 5 or 10 minutes, and then, it slowed down a little bit, but they continued to call in. Well, we have to answer, and, just like every municipality in Rankin County, we're no different. When that phone rings at the 911 office, somebody's got to answer it.
Right.
And, it's our duty. But this helps us, fund those dispatch centers, not only just for us, but, every municipality that has one also.
Which is basically what the taxpayers are paying for.
And that's, the whole premise is, if you did a poll of everybody in here, the assumption is always that dollar, they believe that dollar goes back to the county.
Right.
And it doesn't.
70 cents of it does, but
Where does the 31 million go? How was that used?
It's
it's in the
earmarked.
CMRS fund, and it's used by the carriers for the purpose of upgrading the wireless communication equipment.
Yeah, for the
It
carriers.
goes through a board, Rodney, and they make decisions about expenditures and how to use those monies. The point, though, that's being made here is they've got a pile of money in that fund, and it continues to grow. And it is not being put towards the purpose because it doesn't have to, and it has limitations and restrictions on how it can be used. The point being, let's divert more of those funds out of CMRS going into the CMRS fund to go directly to the counties that are impacted, so that they can use it for the purpose of maintaining and enhancing their own 911 systems.
Yes, sir. All the money goes through the CMRS board. We get our checks from the CMRS board, but there's a
Right.
portion of it that is set aside strictly for the carriers. And, my thought is, if they had $150,000 or 1 million in there, and they had shown where they were upgrading, in Rankin County, I probably wouldn't be fighting this fight. But there's $31.3 million
And growing.
that they have not used. That is
Quickly.
growing from across the state of Mississippi. And we're not asking for they're still gonna continue to get 5 cents. We didn't ask for 100%.
Right.
We're just asking for the quarter. So they're still gonna continue to grow just at a smaller rate. So we didn't take all the funds. We're just asking for a portion of the funds back to the county, which everybody thinks that's where the money's going anyway.
Right. Okay.
So,
Greg, you were saying that the taxpayers, it's taxpayer money. I want to clarify something. It's actually only taxpayers that have cells.
Correct.
Okay? So
Not every.
Participate in it, just don't have a cell phone.
Right. But most,
That
I'd
doesn't leave many
say,
out.
Users of the system.
Yeah, I'd say-
are participating in the cost of the
Yeah.
system.
I'd say in Rankin County, probably 80% of the people have cell phones. I mean, that's probably a pretty
That's a
good.
low figure.
Yeah, that's probably a low figure, but, I mean, we all think that it comes right back into the county.
yeah. But gentlemen, I just wanted to come up here and, let y'all know this letter's going out to y'all. I'm also sending it to Steve Gray.
And that's-
We're gonna try to distribute it out, throughout the state and, because that's where the fight's gonna be.
So it is. and-
Anybody's connected with Senator Fillingane, if they can find him.
Well, and that's the thing I wanted to reiterate to these guys, that what I understood, that it's coming up quickly. So we really have just a short window, small window to get our word to our guys.
If it's not out by February the 3rd, it'll die.
Right.
So how much do they get now? We get 7 cents and they get the rest.
70 cents.
We get
70.
Well, and when we say we, let's.
Wait, say,
clarify.
wait, yeah.
It's out of a $1 surcharge for the purpose of E911. That's on everybody, $1 surcharge.
I think y'all all got a
70
copy of
cents
that.
of that is diverted by the board, the CMRS board. 70 cents of it is diverted back to the county. 30 cents of it is in the CMRS fund, and that's for the purpose of the carrier upgrades. What's being asked in this legislation is divert more than 70
Mm-hmm.
and less than 30 into the fund. And the amendment that came out of energy was 12.5 cents, so now it'll be 82.5 cents. The other 18.5 is going to be, or 17.5 is going to be sitting over, going into the fund next year.
Right.
If it passed.
Yeah.
Then the next year, it would be the full quarterback, so 95 cents out of the dollar would go back to the counties, and 5 cents out of the dollar would go to the fund.
So the email we got yesterday said that you didn't like the language for under the direction of MEMA.
Yeah, we did.
Does
Yeah,
that-
one of the problems is, and this is a fight that continues, and, when we go to conference every year, as you know, the MISWIN system was put into effect, and they have continually, the WCC is also looking for a funding stream to pay for that. And we want to make sure that it's not entangled. This money goes to the county, run by the county. The oversight is done at the county. You decide how the money is spent. And it's earmarked, there's certain parameters that, the 911 money has to be spent for. And we don't want any state entanglements to come into play. But we believe that we've got that worked out. I don't think that's going to be. There's a state
that's not gonna be a
911.
hang-up.
There's a state 911 person right now that all they do is gather the information from us, once a year and report back to them. If that's the position they're talking about, I'm fine with it. If they're going to talk about, hiring a staff to oversee the way that Rankin County spends their money, then we would all have an issue with that. And not just us, but every county that I spoke to. I was talking to 3 supervisors from Sunflower County yesterday, and everybody's in agreement. I mean, from the county level and from the user level, this is a kind of a no-brainer, and I don't know how it's gotten, to where we need to talk to a carrier before we can get a deal done. Well, that's they're not asking us to compromise, they're asking us to surrender. Well, we've been compromising. We've been compromising since 1998. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's a lot of
Feel that.
years of,
Well, the compromise has already been done. It's been done on our side for, to give them the advantage to upgrade their equipment.
right.
And they've got, $31 million that you could have been upgrading your equipment with, that you're not using.
So we're
But we can use
proposing to leave them with 5 cents?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I brought some more copies. I know you guys got the email, and Lord, I don't know how many emails Melissa and I have sent out, but I would say minimum hundreds
Do you know how much that would generate for them?
for each carrier. Well, each carrier gets a percentage. They have to go up and submit, their plan, and it's based on, if it's AT&T cell phone, how many they've got, and Verizon, how many they've got, and C Spire, how many
And
they've
they
got.
still,
So
I'm sure, use some of the money from last year to this year, so we wouldn't have a true accounting of how much was generated,
Yeah, this is just and I mean, they've got that, and, it's, the Horn Group is the accountant.
It's difficult because you've got about a 10-year period of track record of funding coming into the CMRS fund. And so it's difficult to track exactly what does that mean on an annual basis. And that number's gonna float because of some of the basis of cell users. So I would expect, if you started in '03 and you said, what's 5%, which is the 5 cents out of a
Yeah.
dollar, what's 5% of the surcharge on cell users in 2003? It's gonna be a pretty low number. But if you ask the same question in 2013, given the number of cell users now,
yeah.
that's a much larger number. So it may sound a little like a tall order to ask them to cut back to 5 cents. But when you measure that against the number of cell users that are out there, that's still a big dollar. And they're all going through the same pipes. All the cell towers that are out there that have to be upgraded, they're there whether there's 50 cell phones or 50,000. It's the same structure, infrastructure.
Right. Okay.
Isn't Dean Kirby the vice chairman?
Dean Kirby is the vice chair.
Have you talked to Dean?
All of our guys are on board. Every representative, every senator from Rankin County has expressed to us that they are on board and they're going to support it. And, I'm just asking you guys just to kind of remind them. And I mean, and y'all know how this works. You got to remind them, how this impacts us and how important this really is to us. And this isn't something that we may want. This is something that we definitely want.
Every Rankin County legislator appears to be on board.
Yeah. What is, could you give us the information?
Yeah, I'm not saying that every Rankin County politician is on board, and that's where I need to, that's
You
where
wanna
I'm
clarify
asking
that?
you guys to use your
You wanna clarify?
influence.
We had a pretty substantial increase in cost for 911 from last or 2 years to this year. Do we know how much that is?
Well,
It was.
As far
I know we upgraded
as
equipment
our
and
budget,
everything.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
done some upgrading and, additional stuff, and we're also, and, even speaking to and I told them, I said, regardless of what they do on the state level, if they decide to do nothing, Rankin County, we're still gonna join with other counties. Melissa and I continue to work. We'll probably pick up, from the conversation I've had with the Mississippi Association of Supervisors, we're probably gonna pick up Smith and Newton County within 6 months. That'll join with us, same deal, the fee-based, and,
I think it would help if we knew how much we're spending, what it's costing us to operate, to, share that with
yeah.
elected officials.
And I don't know of any county that I've spoken to that is not supported by general funds in addition to the 911 funding. And I'm not sure exactly, I don't have those figures. I don't know what percentage hours is covered by strictly 911 funding. And I think we're pretty close.
Y'all may remember from the budget discussions, we were looking at projections, pro forma projections that showed that with some adjustments that had been made, the fund was going to carry itself for a while, but it was clear it was not going to do that in perpetuity.
Yeah, it's like
This this maneuver right here, if it were to pass, would put us on a much stronger financial position.
Right.
I think it was like a 3-year, something like that, if I remember.
Probably gonna get 3 or 4 years
Yeah.
out of it, that would help us.
Correct.
This was from some refunding that we did on some other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Financing.
And we
Laura,
shouldn't have
Would you send
to.
me an email how much we spend for that, please?
Right, and we wouldn't have been able to do the new upgrade that we are now doing because we don't use the general fund.
Right,
funds
yeah.
To lower our lease payment.
Yeah,
So
that's-
one fund can handle it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Bob.
Yes.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor
Have a good
Butch,
day.
Mr. Mayor Butch Lee, presentation on proposed boundary around the multi-purpose facility and City of Brandon's proposed transportation plan. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for holding up just a few
Are we
minutes.
gonna start having you on the agenda, rather than public comment? We just
We
gonna have
got-
Butch Lee as a.
We got him a chair gonna be sitting over here. That's right. There you go.
Thank you very much for allowing me. So I looked down your agenda here and I see item C. I just want to speak to that before we got in a hurry. And that's, I guess, Pelahatchie and Mayor Knox Ross. I'd like to just say, I support that 100%.
Okay,
City of
great.
Brandon does.
Great.
I would hope everybody in the county does, because whatever, if we should accomplish something there,
Right.
that's people coming to Rankin County, building homes, living, shopping, everything else. So that's a good thing.
Thank you.
We need more of that.
Appreciate
I just want
that.
to say that before we got away from it. But you've been in here for an hour and 15 minutes. You want to take a break, or, you?
Well,
No,
I think we're ready.
You gonna be lengthy? Is that what you're
I
saying?
don't intend to be lengthy. I intend to be shorter than last time, as a matter of fact. And last time, we kind of breezed through some things, and I complicated it with a little bit of verbiage and some papers. So you've heard everything I'm going to say, so I just kind of condensed it down to a PowerPoint presentation, about 20 slides. And I do not like to speak with my back to people, so if it's okay with you, I'd like to step over here to the corner and just go through these slides. I've got a summary slide at the end. I'm going to ask you to make a decision on 5 things, and I've got that as a slide, so we can back up and go to any slide I show you at that point in time.
Okay.
I'm just trying to make it a little bit simpler to go through, and that way everybody in the audience can see everything.
Sounds great.
All right, so, took some of these pictures this morning on Luckney Road. I appreciate Renee over there. By the way, I'd like to say we've got Darren Warren back here in the back, our Public Works Director, and Jordan Hillman and Kyle. Jordan Hillman is our new Community Development Director, and I appreciate the time that she and Renee, because we want to do better relationships working together so that we see those things coming, i.e. the problems you described at the mini storage buildings. We constantly fight those kind of things, as well as nuisance property. So I applaud you in those efforts. We need to do more of it. So working through here, I came in last time and we talked about the multipurpose building, and this is the east side of the multipurpose property. This is our fire station right here. This is a pile of gray rock and a pile of rock, I guess, some small size diameter rock. And this is the particular piece of property that we were looking at. So this is the entrance in, and kind of what we talked about was you've got a power line that goes right here. You got a 100-foot, I think probably a 50-foot easement on that one, 100-foot easement on this power line, and a slough in the middle. And what we want to do is take that drive out and open all that up and drain it and put a road up through the middle of it. So that's kind of what we were looking at. So this is the fire station property. This was Region 8, and Region 8 has kind of donated that. That's a big chunk of limestone back there that we want to turn into a parking lot and developing bridges and walking trails down around those water features. And I appreciate the time that 3 of you spent out there with me walking around the other day. I really, really do. So this is what we're looking at. This line that you see right here is the edge of the right-of-way for the big power line, and that's number 1. So that's the slough that we want to drain. It's got tires in the bottom of it, barrels, drums, scrap metal, everything else that was just pushed over in there. It may have been in an old pond years ago, and that's what we want to drain. And I do remember, did mention last time mosquitoes, and during the summer that looks just like that, except it's covered with duckweed and West Nile and chikungunya. So That's item one.
Chicken what?
Gaia is what they call it. It's what came in out of Caribbean. Chicken Gaia. It's another mosquito, but different mosquito carries it too. And this is what we want to do. We want to turn this into a parking area, like to recoup that little concrete slab there and maybe turn that into a check-in station similar to what you'd find at a wildlife management area, and ultimately drain that slough and go around the right side of that slough. It's already open in there. All of this is already water right here. Drain that down to accomplish this point right here, because the property line is actually about where the edge of that picture is at. And you drop off about, I guess, 30 or 40 feet down to water right there. We stood on that and looked at that. So we want to accomplish that and go this way, all the way around the multipurpose property, and come in by Bayou Classic is the goal. This side would go to the parking area. That is Region 8 building, and that is Region 8's, what they call a bus barns, where they keep their transportation vehicles. So that's item one. Item two is the back of the building, and this is the big power line back there on the back. This is the back parking lot. This is a road that goes back to it. And it's a little bit difficult in here to see because the lights have washed it out to some degree. But at one time there was actually a little path that goes around this mountain of limestone right here. And it's pretty good drop off in here. You can see that's when this picture Google Earth was taken, that's actually duckweed floating on water. And there's another spot right here that is just full of water. So what we're asking you to do is be able to put a road through here and come around and tie these together to get to number one on the other side. If we don't, we're going to come out here to the power line and come all the way back up and figure out a way to get through here to get to it. So that's what we're trying to accomplish. This is 1.22 acres. This is the topo map. I've got a hard copy of that, and I can give it to you electronically if you would like. It shows all those features. There's water here and water over there and water everywhere. This is a mound of rock and dirt that is back there. We had hoped to use a dozer that we had on the ground out at Shiloh working this week, popping stumps out of the ground, big D4. But we went ahead and sent it back. We'll get it in the next few weeks if we need to get out here and start pushing on that. We went out there and did some flagging. I took our road guy out there, Mr. Ole Smith, and his recommendation was stay away from that edge if at all possible. And I never picked up on it, but as we walked it and looked at it, there is exposed rock in there. And he says probably when George pushed all that, he says it's not uncommon that rocks would roll. And he said it's not uncommon to find voids underneath there and that kind of thing. So his recommendation was stay as far away from that edge as possible. That's kind of the road path we would like to do, to go all the way around that corner. Again, there's water standing right here, easy to see on Google Earth in those two locations. Item 3. So on items 1 and 2, I'd be looking for some kind of vote or direction from you on your thoughts on that. Item 3 was a potentially new road from 471 over here to North Street. This is North Street as it comes under the interstate. I have the map, the plan of 471 over here. There were 10 of those printed, and I believe I've extracted what Mr. Buster needed on our discussion on Luckney Road here in just a second. If you'd like to look at that, or if you need any more data out of that, this is the existing road bed of 471 on this side, and this is I think everybody in this room travels this road. We probably ought to do a traffic count on it to determine how many vehicles actually travel it a day. But it's unsafe. It always has been unsafe. And so that's called Old Lakeland Drive, as we call it. North Street comes under the estate and goes around this way to our Public Works building and crosses the railroad track on the backside of Cornerstone up there. So looking at it, we spent a lot of time looking at this and came up with 3 or 4 ideas. This is the new road bed. So this is the old road bed. This road and this road is what goes to what is now the alternative school. The new bus route that comes out of there will go this way. And these are the plans that MDOT has. So they don't have anything coming off the highway from the new bridge that's going to be built here until you get to here. So all bus traffic is going to be going in and out of here. This will turn into Depot Road. We've named that. It'll turn into a city street. And this is what we envision. There's somewhere between 80 and 100,000 yards of spoil in here. And the idea is to take it and begin to build a road bed We're not trying to save Joe McGee any money, but any money we save Joe McGee saves the taxpayers, and we ought to be able to get some good out of it. I did speak to the Rankin County School District about this, indicated that to you, and I have last week spoke to the president, Grumpy Farmer, and he says, bring it. Bring these ideas. So both of these ideas involve 16 section property. That 16 section line runs right here. You see the difference in color of those trees. It goes up to about right here in corners is where that 16 section line runs. So every bit of this is on 16 section. It is not leased, and we'd have to get to work pretty quickly. If you're in agreement and you'll do something on the order of some type of resolution that you're in agreement that this is a good thing to move traffic from 471 to the downtown area, then I'll go to work with the county. We'll use our engineers. We've got to get estimates on trees and remove timber and establish that in a hurry. Now, it's not a hurry like it's next week, but 471, this construction is supposed to start in March. Primary start is going to be from Luckney Road north. I think that's their first focus. I believe there's some penalties if they don't get that roadbed completed by August. So I believe they're going to start from Luckney working north, and then they're going to come back and work these two bridges, the bridge over the railroad and this new bridge over the interstate. The old bridge will go away. So I'm saying call that Depot Road from right here all the way around. They'll tie in here, then they'll cross over 471, and we'll have Depot Road all the way down to Luckney Road, which will be a city street. Major enhancement. So if you would envision that you're traveling north, you're going over a bridge over the railroad tracks, you're arriving right here, and you can take a left and come right here to get to the back of county buildings, the jail, and everything else in downtown. And of course it works that way in reverse too. It's another way to get out of the downtown area going north on 471 without having to continue up here to College Street. Number 4, same thing. I'd be asking for some type of resolution if you think this is a viable idea. This encompasses county property. The largest portion of this idea is county property. It also encompasses 16 section property. This is Felicity Street right here where I'm pointing. Felicity Street ends right here. So this block is in total. This block works. This is North Street. This is a dead-end street. I would say we could extend this up, tie it to somewhere around Worley over here, which is 16 section everywhere I'm pointing in here, which is unleased property. And when you cross this line, you're on county property. And the majority of this is county property till you get all the way down here to this area. So a roadbed that would look similar to something like this. So we'd be able to come off of 80 into here, create a new city block here, a new city block here. And again, the idea is to be able to get traffic in and out of the downtown area. So if you're traveling on 80 and you want to go north on Luckney, you can come right through here, hit North Street, and you're gone. Eliminates a lot of the congestion in here in downtown with the schools and with county services. So I see these things as opening up county government. If you do decide to build a new building back here or a new building over here, either one of these, basically you would have a whole city block to do whatever you want to do as far as the Justice Court building or whatever you're going to call that building. Number 5 is Luckney Road, and this is a representation of where the city limits is at. That red line at the top, this is Warner Drive, this is the existing 471, and this is Luckney Road. Luckney Road is a state aid road, always has been, has never been improved on this end, and I know there's been some discussion as to why it wasn't asphalted, Mr. Wilcox, and I think I can answer that question. And Mr. Buster, you just dive right in if I'm incorrect about this. But you can't use those state aid monies to do resurfacing on this stretch of that state aid road because the road bed does not meet current specifications for state aid. Even though it's a state aid road, the road bed today does not meet those specifications. So that in somewhat describes why you could resurface from here the other way. Mr. Buster, would that be fairly accurate to say that?
That's correct. Yes.
So that explains the reason why. It wasn't done intentionally to exclude anybody in Brandon or anything else like that. However, I would say it is a state aid road, and you know, when you look at this, you stand at the city limits and you look toward Flowood. This particular piece of ground is actually in the county, and that's a nice road. You've got shoulders, wide travel path, it looks great, beautiful. You turn around and look into the city at this point, and it narrows down. There are no shoulders. I've got just a couple of pictures to work through here. There are no shoulders. You're dealing with 0.7 of a mile to where the 471 reconstruction is going to begin at the bridge. And I think everybody in this room, again, travels this road probably more frequently than we would admit, spending too much money in Flowood. I took these pictures this morning, a little bit dark before the sun got up, but you know, it's cane circle. It's real tight. It's unsafe. I can tell you in front of this bridge right here, which that bridge needs to go away. Did speak to Mr. Kerry Webb about that, and that would be one of his recommendations, that the bridge has to go away, because the orientation per the plan on the MDOT is that that bridge is already out of alignment, and it's going to be further out of alignment when the highway is reconstructed. So that bridge needs to go away. And again, there is no shoulder. If you drop off here, you're there. And that happened in December, just about right here in this picture. There was a truck and a trailer that went off the road. It blocked this road for an hour and a half. And I know that because I was in a vehicle at 9 o'clock at night, and I intentionally sat there in a line of cars waiting to evaluate our police and fire services, see how fast they could clear that road to get it open again. So we don't need roads closed for an hour and a half, and there just wasn't any other way to go with it. So this is Luckney today, a nice improved road. I know you think in these terms because a couple of years ago you improved Henderson Road here all the way into Pearl. Nice open boulevard. Henderson Road did look just like that stretch on Luckney Road looks right now. It was tight, congested, and you opened it up, moved the utilities back, and all these cars, I took this picture this morning, all these cars are going down here to Burnham Road, Burnham Road, and taking a left and coming in the city of Brandon, trying to get to the interstate, and it's just a line of cars one after another. So when 471 is redone, that travel corridor on Luckney Road is only going to get much worse. So the question last time was, how are you going to pay for that? And this is what my thoughts are. A third of state aid funds. I think you got somewhere around $890,000 in the last disbursement from the legislature, I believe, and I believe you got somewhere around that amount that's unprogrammed toward anything else. Down at the Capitol yesterday, and it looks like counties are going to get some more this year or next year, probably this year. There's a lot of energy to do that in the state aid. I would ask for $1.5 million from the road and bridge or bridge and culvert. You take basically $1.6 million in the road and bridge fund out of Brandon proper, the city of Brandon right now. You give $800 back, and you keep $800 for projects throughout the county. You take $500,000 in the bridge and culvert fund out of Brandon, city proper, every year. So that's about $1.3 million you're pulling out of the city of Brandon to use everywhere in the county. So let's just do a little simple math. If you pull in $1.3 million out of the city of Brandon, the last 10 years you pulled out $13 million. 20 years is $26 million. And then I would say that we need to step up and put some money into this too. So that's looking like it's a $4.4 million project. I'm waiting on a better estimate than that. I think it's going to be higher than that because I think there's going to be a couple of data lines, AT&T data lines are going to be relocated. And we're also working on Luckney Road to bring a sewer line in there. So we've got the city's putting $732,000 into a sewer line. We've got a $600,000 sewer grant, CDBG grant. So we're putting $1.3 million into a sewer line up and down Luckney, and right now is the time to buy that right away if we need to improve it. So those are the 5 things I would ask you to take some kind of definitive action on. 1 and 2 is the multipurpose property out there. Number 3 is really 3 and 4. I would ask Mr. Attorney here as some form of resolution from the board that you would support those efforts. I'm not asking for a dollar figure. What I'm thinking is that we would work together in the construction of some road bed until we got it to a point where we put a final wear surface on it. In other words, we'd build a road bed and then we would turn around and build a road in the city. So to our specifications. And then Luckney would be an interlocal agreement. I have a rough draft of that that I would like to do and move forward with an interlocal agreement between the city and the county to improve Lutney Road. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. That was short and sweet. Okay. With all that being said, let's move on. We saw the presentation. Anybody got any questions for the mayor at this time? Because it looks like down the...
Are any of these roads you're talking about building a four-lane road?
Are you talking about the new roads in downtown Brandon?
Yeah.
Two-lane road with probably a pedestrian path on one side. You know, the idea to begin the connectivity thing. Now, you understand that because you were integral in putting those paths around the reservoir. So you understand that, and I think it's critical that Flowood and City of Brandon work together to do the same thing, to be able to connect the reservoir.
I think that though, wasn't that because of some federal funds? The pass?
Yeah, and I know we serve on the MPO together too, and that's where some of that comes from.
No,
And
but I think that one though, didn't it have something to do because federal funds, we had to back up and it was part of their requirement? Where am I getting that? Where'd the walking bike trail come from?
I think that was an incentive, I believe, that if I'm not mistaken.
I was just making a point that you understand the importance of it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Right.
Not looking for the money.
I do want to make a comment that since I live in Brandon, and I can tell you, when you talked on the school system, if I leave 3 minutes late, it takes me an additional 20 minutes to get through because of the school. When you're there, you're there. There is no let's go around a different way. I could go around about 20 miles difference, which would cause me about 20 minutes. But, we as the board have looked at over the last 7 years and the previous board's infrastructure needs for Rankin County. And as it's grown, that's what our job has been, and that's what it will continue to be. I can see Rankin County continuing to grow, so if we don't do something, we're going to be in worse shape than what we were even, let's just say, Old Fannin Road 10 years ago. Had it been built 10 years ago the way it should have been built, we'd be 10 years ahead. So right now, as in the mayor's saying, I know that's a lot of money, but it's not going to reduce. It's just going to increase. So I appreciate you putting together all that to get basically a loop around downtown Brandon. Because, and I can say too, if there's a wreck on I-20, which way do they divert them? Right downtown Brandon, right downtown 80. So when you're in that mess, I'm here to tell you, there is no way to get off of that road. So I appreciate you putting that together.
People are coming. We've had $40 million in new home value construction in Brandon in 2014, January through December. They're still coming.
They are.
I'll give you plenty of money to do all this.
That's your money. That's your ad valorem. You get more ad valorem than we get.
Well, we also got a bigger budget, so
Yeah.
we need it. Can we start with the multipurpose facility? And I do appreciate you meeting us out there and going over this. We, Jared and I went out there and looked at it, the markings.
They might be.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Y'all done looking at pictures?
No, that would be good to put it out.
Yeah, let's throw back up the one, especially the number 2, I think it was.
Well, I can kind of summarize it all in one, I think.
There? Is that where you want it?
I mean, you can start right there. I also went out there, Mayor, for the 4-H event, Friday and Saturday, and I walked it over again and talked to a lot of the ones that use it. This part that's in the back of the multipurpose building, in the very back, I think that's it right there, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. We actually use that. And actually and I appreciate you going and staking the lines, because it was kind of hard to line them up. You got a pole over here and a pole over here, and it didn't matter how you stood, you could line them up. So I appreciate you putting that other extra pole there lined up, which I realized when you did that, you already got a big corner of it. And so, more so than I realized. if we come all the way up like you're asking with the flag, where you're flagging and all is, see, we lost, you know, you look at it, and there again, I'm talking to people that actually use it. The parking, we lost parking when we built the FEMA building that they use. And I didn't even take that in equation, but we also lost about a third of an overflow parking lot where the limestone is over there that they use. So their parking has been pushed down considerably. They use that part, and also that's the only place we got to move any, if we try to back up and add some additional parking for our hookups and whatever. So and I asked them about, they said nothing out there is not unused, and that where you got, went back out there, like I say, Jay and I went back out there after you restaked it so we could look at it. And pretty much if you do the road like you're talking about, you're taking up the whole thing. I talked to Noel and several of the ones that night that actually participate things. That back part, I really am not supportive of getting rid of it. But when you look on the other side where the slough and all is, it's really not gonna hinder anything. I think that's what you're doing there is gonna be good. It's not something we're gonna ever be able to use. I am concerned if you got room to, have you laid anything out to see if, is there enough room there to make it wide enough to swing a tractor trailer and et cetera in there? I know you're talking about if you had some big shows of something. Is there room to bring one in there?
You know what, that gravel parking lot you were talking about, that big one?
Right.
Probably put a second set of gates in there.
Okay.
So that, and a little offshoot, so you could go straight in and out of that. But without that, you're not gonna be taking tractor trailer rigs back there anyway.
Why?
There's no way to get around there.
Well, actually there is. I mean, you just have to fill in some.
Well, but fill in is, all of that's a ravine that's covered in water right now. And that's water over there. So you're gonna have to, and
Out of that
down
little
here.
pie, of that little pie part where it dropped off down that hill, in the back of the multipurpose building.
Right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Whenever we met, I didn't realize that they utilized that area, but supposedly that's where they carry the horses that are not.
Yeah, I was out there Monday morning after the show, and there was one set of horse tracks out there.
Okay.
And I've been out
Somebody
there.
walked over.
Yeah.
Deer tracks. The parking lot to the right where we discussed, where you could put the gate at and have
Limestone,
additional.
Back over here on this side. Yeah.
Yeah. Could it be possible that we do a little land swap? Will you give us a little more of that parking lot back and we give you the area on the right?
Well, we're gonna turn it into a parking lot too.
So then maybe you could just put the road further in the back then, so we could use more of it.
Well, the further you go in the back, you're going down a 40-foot
Well, I
hole.
wasn't talking about, going off the property, but just,
I'm just saying, like you said, they've lost parking over there that I honestly didn't realize. If I'd realized that was part of their parking, I'd have probably wanted to talk about when we Rankin First, I believe that was part of Rankin First property. Maybe taking some of that out where they had parking. I didn't realize they had lost that big a section. And so, like I said, they've lost that. Then we give up the other part that leaves no room for us to be able to move there. And so that's the reason, the back corner. The other side, on the fire station side, we can work out, I think we can work out something there. That's not a problem. It's just the back part behind there.
How big of a parking lot, whenever you're saying a parking lot, the one you're looking at over behind Region 8, how big of a parking lot were we looking at?
Renee, you got Google Earth on
And the reason why I go there is because I don't think this is going to be inclusive to just Brandonites. I feel like that, and I understand what you're saying. We're losing a lot of parking and stuff like that, but if he's building a parking lot, or the city of Brandon's building a parking lot, that's going to benefit everyone. Because I don't think that the city of Brandon's going to charge, you're not going to charge for parking, are you?
No, but we want to gate the front of this, just like the sheriff has done to keep people out.
Yeah, they're gonna cut it out.
We're gonna gate it down here when we build that road, but I think that's 8 acres
Right.
back there. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
Yeah. and that's water on that side and water on this side.
So if there's a show, what I'm saying is if there's a show that needs overflow parking, that's not unheard of then.
That'd be a little bit further than walking distance from where it.
Right,
He's not gonna want, he's what he's saying, we'll put a gate up there.
right,
He showed us the other day, a gate's a good idea.
Yeah, we don't want people in there at night.
right.
Right,
Understand.
okay.
For security measures, right.
But to answer your question, I would like for us to keep the back part back there since we do utilize it. And if you could, give us some room on that back parking lot on the right, if there's room to leave us some access over there.
How many acres on the water side was it?
That whole square is 5 acres, including a power line easement and a power line easement. And somewhere up here, there's a gas line that goes.
So what is that? I'm confused. I can't put all this together. What is the brown?
That, we would make that into a parking area.
All right, what is that road right there?
This road,
The one down the
that's
bottom?
Marquette Road.
Okay.
And that's
So
the
where's-
entrance into multipurpose property right there,
So where's the multipurpose?
over here.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. So that, okay, that's the gravel parking lot? What is
Yes,
that?
yes, right here, that's the gravel.
That's the
parking.
limestone parking lot?
Yeah, right there.
No. Okay,
So that's a pile of limestone,
right,
All right.
right.
and that's a pile of pea gravel on that
Yeah, that's. okay.
remainder of that concrete slab.
So the limestone will be a parking lot?
Ultimately, on the front end, it'll be a limestone parking lot. Ultimately, it'll be a
Well, I mean,
paved
a parking lot,
It'll
yeah.
be paved, you know.
So,
That, you did the top left up there, that's where that other parking lot is, right? And
Yeah, and that
that's
line.
where we cut.
That line kind of comes from that corner of that parking lot, right through there, almost top of that picture all the way across,
Yeah.
where the property line's at.
That's what I was saying, maybe if you could just give us, rather than cut off that whole parking lot that you own, leave us some of it, so we could swap that out for the land on the right.
Well, then I couldn't get
I
a
can
road
see
all
how
the
the
way
mayor
around
would
the
want to
place.
cooperate with us and do that, as cooperative as we've been with his request. I can see where he'd want,
yeah.
Okay, what?
I can see where he'd want to cooperate with us as cooperative as we've been.
You've been pretty cooperative. I think that's not quite a fair statement there.
Well, I mean, we're talking about, on the back corner of that parking lot, we're talking about feet. And, yeah, somebody said we utilize that all the time. Well, that's really not the case, and if they needed more space and knew that they were having growing pains, why didn't we go along with moving the facility somewhere else and building an improved?
Well,
I mean,
know
I
if
don't
we
see
need to
where-
drag a dead horse out of the grave.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, Jared, we gotta take all this into consideration. And when we talked about the multipurpose pavilion, there were some deficiencies in it that will prevent it from ever being a world-class show
Yeah.
facility.
I agree.
So what are the chances that we're gonna have a great deal of additional parking needed? And, I mean, I just don't see it, I see it kind of at a stalemate. It's gonna continue to operate just like it has. And I don't see it being any different, so I don't see what we do with that land as having anything to do with
And
the
I,
future of the facility.
But they use it. I mean,
Well-
if they use it, we don't want to take it away from them, do
Yeah,
we? I
they
mean,
walked one horse back there. over
there's not that many. Have you been over there that
And
much?
that was probably
I
the
mean,
biggest, one of the biggest shows that FHA will have there.
Right.
I mean,
Well,
And I can see, in the future, and I'm just gonna go ahead and throw this out there. Like 2 years ago, we built a nature trail over at the city of Flowood. you know, it started out very small. Yesterday, you couldn't find a parking space in there. So people are walking. People are actually exercising. People are utilizing these things. So there's more than equine. So this thing is going to grow.
Greg, this won't stop it from growing.
I'm not saying
This
it's
won't
gonna stop from
this won't
growing.
stop
I'm
the
just
whole thing
saying that
from growing.
what we're doing is we're looking at we're looking at some feet that I agree what you're saying, that yes, there's possibilities some utilizing of some horses and stuff like that they're, you know, but they've got 2 huge barns that warm up stalls and stuff like that. You know, rather than put Brandon into having to spend an exponential amount of money to fill in a hole, I mean, instead of them going around the world, I don't see where we've given in so much. Really don't. That's just my view.
Well, there's a reason why that parking lot was put back there.
Okay?
I don't think we went out and built a parking lot just for the sake of doing it.
So what do we
With the
do?
limestone
And,
parking lot.
Right.
And by us giving up all that land, we also gave up a third of a parking lot up there that we had built for some reason. So, you know, we have given up and we have compromised and continue to compromise, but just because we want to keep some of what we have doesn't mean that we're not trying to, you know, be cooperative.
So what we're saying
We gave our
is,
blessings to Rankin first.
so what we're gonna say is
Property
we're
that
gonna
you
grow then. We're gonna grow the.
No, I'm not
the
saying about
multipurpose
we're gonna
building.
grow, I'm saying that they use it as is today.
We can grow, it can grow some too. I think it has some,
Well, if you turn in the access road to the livestock pavilion, not the new one that the sheriff has for the gate, but the first entrance, there's still undeveloped property between there and the existing parking. I mean, we've got room to expand our parking out there if that's our concern,
I don't.
even if we lose the one on the back.
Well, I haven't went out there and walked the whole property and know what all
No, I
needs to
mean,
be
you
done.
drive by it and you see trees on your left.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So
I'd have to look
then
at
what's the
that.
difference in us having to go do it and the city having to do it?
I mean,
I
if
mean,
you gotta fill something, we gotta go build another one. If you gotta fill in something, there's room to fill. You got room there. I mean, you got some land already there that's yours. I mean, that yours as far as what Rankin first had. And so, I mean, you got some, sure you'd have to fill, but every project has something you have to fill or dig out or whatever.
It's also a cost of the fence. You know, the more you go up and down those hills and valleys and ravines, the more costly a fence is gonna be rather than keeping it on a straight line. So that was a consideration.
Right.
The other consideration is if it's, you wanna build more hookups and you wanna put in more money in there, we'll buy the acre from you, or the 5 acres. We'll buy the slough from you. You know, we just need to work out what the value of that is.
How close is your fence to the facility? Your fence and your
It-
road, if you take that part? How close is your road gonna be to the multi-purpose building?
The flagging we put up resembles something like that. So somewhere between here and here is where that fence needs to go. And I've got the detailed property analysis here, property descriptions of both those parcels. And so.
Go
Really?
back to the original picture where you were, Butch, showing the entrance road to the facility.
That one?
No, yeah.
Okay.
Isn't that to the right where the brown spot is, isn't that
All this is
swampy area?
that, all this is that slough, yeah, there's
Right.
a power line right here, and that's what we wanna keep all that, we don't want those trees to go away.
What's
All
all
this
that
is
to the
trees,
left of
that's
the
right.
road?
All this is trees, and this has been somewhat developed as, parking,
So there's still some additional space that could be converted.
and over the last 18 months, more people use this than anywhere out there.
Move, can't, well, it can't move.
Yeah, I
over.
don't have-
It won't move.
It's not
yeah.
a map.
Right.
We're both learning from each other, just so you know, that's a good use of video, compliment you on that. And I can think of some other folks that are fixing to start using videos, so that's a good thing. It's a good thing to be able to see that kind of stuff, but you need Google Earth in here too, to be able to throw it up and look down on it. That'll help
Right.
you the next phase.
Right.
Do you have another picture of where the multipurpose building's sitting?
Not on that stick, and it was, I've got more, I carry more sticks than I need to. Now, I got all that here, but it's gonna take a few minutes for me to dig it out of this stick to show it to you.
I think that other image shows it. That right there. I'll give you an idea.
I mean,
Right
that's-
about here
right about
is where that little shed is at in the back where the shavings are,
Right.
where that's stored, right at that point right there. And just about right here is where that, well, this line comes over and points right here, then it goes to the road, goes to the street. So there's a T-post here now showing that line, a
Right.
T-post here, and then we saw most of those when we
So
rode
you're looking
down
at
there.
in all honesty, you're looking about, looks like to be I'm just guessing 30 feet away from our back parking lot to where the proposed road is. I mean, I'm just,
Well, I think
Looking
the
at the whole
discussion is
corner.
really around this little piece right here.
Right.
Because this is a mound of rock and dirt.
Yeah.
There's nothing, I mean,
It's just-
and this is a hole. So all this would go in there to be able to get
Right.
around there.
But you're
So
looking at
really,
that
this is
very
what you're talking
corner.
about right here.
very little corner.
No. See the red line, it's talking about coming, you're gonna take the whole corner out. If you put the road where it is, you got nothing back there. You been out there?
Yeah.
You went out to
Twice.
see, put flags up,
Oh, yeah.
the white
Mhm.
flags?
Right.
Well, he just put them up. He just put them up.
Thursday, somewhere around there. Thursday, Friday, somewhere around there. Yeah.
No, No, he put them up just this week, just what?
Right.
Yeah, Most
Tuesday.
recent, we went out there and put the other
Tuesday.
T-post and flags in Monday morning.
Monday, yeah.
I'm sorry,
Monday,
Monday.
Tuesday.
Yes.
But there were some out there already.
Yeah, but I mean, not the little white flags that
Yeah.
mark the road, right.
Welcome to the party, Rodney.
Thank you.
Oh, well.
Did you say
It's
yes? Did you raise your hand and say, I do?
I said thank you
Yeah.
for being here today.
He said he wants to leave.
Loading my wagon.
And
Not with one project, but like 7 projects.
yeah. Let me ask
I
you.
mean, when I was talking to some of them out there, they said, the part over there about the slough is that they weren't opposed. They said that would be fine. We've looked at that, went over and looked and said, we don't have a problem with that. I mean, they weren't like saying no to everything. They said, we won't use that. We see how that can be good. So, I mean, but he said the back part, we just don't hate to see lose that. So that's, like I said, they weren't being no to everything. They're very, I thought, looked at everything in a optimistic way, open way.
Mayor, is the ground in that triangle, is it suitable for a road?
Again, we walked up that edge, that's where some
right there.
wild animals were traversing in there to get a little closer.
But where we have filled that in over the years, is that suitable for a road?
Well, the further you stay away from this edge.
No, we're just saying, you really don't know what kind of soil's in there anyway, because it was just stuff pushed in there.
Yeah, that whole hilltop was pushed off
Right,
when the second building was built.
right.
So go
Over
back-
time, it'll probably been pushed on back even further, because we had stuff
Go-
to fill it with.
One last second. Go back with your, right there, stay right there. With your red marker, go back around is where you would have to go if we do not give up and,
We'll have to come around this water, drain that, come out here around this power line to come up and over and either come on this side or the other side of that water to get back around over here. Because this is
See
a,
that being that,
this is
Yeah.
a, this is a
That
huge
deep.
limestone mass right here, as is this. It's the reason why the tree's still there.
And that's your only option?
well, wait a minute. When you come across the corner, make your little marker, right there, the corner, right there. All right, that hole, if you already got a little bit, come on this way. Now, come on down, just like your line. You already own all that, that's behind that red line, the other way.
Keep going down the road?
Come on down.
This way.
The red line.
Oh,
Red
this
line,
way.
right, you already own all that. All you're talking about having to fill in is a little corner, right, go up on your red line, right there. All you gotta talk about doing is having to fill in a little corner. In there, you already own a big portion of all that right there.
And I didn't notice it, but
Look at that.
as you were walking, you see all these little white spots?
Mhm.
That's rock.
Right.
That's rolled into it. And when I was describing that, what Ole Smith was telling me, Dale and Buster over here were nodding their heads. It's rocks in there that have been rolled with a dozer, and you've probably got voids underneath there.
I imagine every bit of it's that way.
Well, but the further you get, closer you get to that edge, the more you're gonna find out.
Well, I mean, all that was just what you just said, just pushed in stuff. So there's really no, all of it's probably got the same stuff, it just may not be right at the very top. Because it was all, the whole place up there is limestone.
So what does the county plan on using for?
Well, we could extend that back for parking lots for the, we've all, from the beginning, we've talked about not having enough hookups. And they utilize, I don't know what all they utilize it for now, but it is used. It's used for, I know for sometimes when they have animals that have problems or wanting to get along around the others, they move them back there away from everything. They use that if somebody's just riding a horse around there to keep out of the trailers. I mean, I'm not there to tell you that. I'm just there to say, I went there to see if that was a good idea, was it gonna be a problem. Didn't have a problem with what's on by the fire station. Just when this one came up, just hated to see us lose that one. If I could go out and look at the other, but right now I'm not ready to I'm not ready to give that part up. If I could see where, and talk if there was a way to add additional usage of some of the other land that Walter's referring to, then maybe, but right now.
Well, and the predicament that our Ethics Commission has kind of put us into, kind of puts us into a situation where we have to have everything open discussion, no matter.
I can walk out there by myself and look at it.
I've looked at it.
I'm saying, it ain't got anything to do with,
You know,
anything to do with ethics.
I mean, I've been out there now. I'm just saying that I think Craig understands what I'm talking about on the 221. But the problem being is that I've been out there several times, and you know, I mean, I live 5 minutes from there, and I've never seen one horse out there walking around. I just haven't.
Well, you go to shows as often as I do?
Right. Do I go as much as you do? Well, I've been out there quite a few, but now I've never seen any animals walking out there, so doesn't mean that I haven't been out there looking to see if there are animals out there walking. That's the reason why I thought we had the warm-up building
The cover warm-up.
covered, right, that we built, that the taxpayers have actually put money into. That's why I thought that that's the reason why they had it out there, for not to be outside, but
How large is this entire complex you're trying to put together? How many acres is it
The old
entire?
Rankin Trails thing?
Yeah.
That's over 200.
Amphitheater, everything,
Over 200.
200 acres.
The city purchased 148 acres of family land, and a lot of that we're having to work through in mitigation because a lot of it's
Right.
wetlands, but we're working through that. But we paid $1.2 million for it. Bought and paid for it. It's done. We didn't finance or anything. We've already written a check.
Okay.
Which butts this property on the west side.
all right, so we got discussion and possible action on the City of Brandon request for transfer a portion of multipurpose pavilion property as part of the Rankin Trails project.
And that's that one piece, right?
That's basically
Phase two.
and the other piece, 2 pieces.
Yeah, that's why I've got them
The one
numbered
with the
1
slough.
and 2.
Is that,
1 and 2 is what,
The one with the slough to the right and in the back corner.
That corner's 2.
Yeah.
That's number 2.
So you can split them if you need to. If you're not in agreement on one or not, whatever, trying to keep it that way. Didn't want to include them both together.
Mr.
Well, I'll
President,
make
if
a
you
motion.
entertain a motion, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request as per the City of Brandon's Rankin Trails project.
Okay, I got a motion by Mr. Johnson. Second by myself. Any questions?
Yeah, explain to me what I'm voting on. You're voting on the whole thing,
The whole thing?
or not separating 1 and 2?
Is that what you're saying? The entire project? The entire
Request.
project?
Entire project.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to amend that motion to just consider number 1.
That would be up to Mr. Johnson to
I will
agree.
vote on it just like I proposed it, and then if it fails, you can make your own motion.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Morrison, second by myself. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign.
Nay.
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 Motion dies for the lack of approval. 3 votes.
Now, I'm willing to make a motion to go along with the sluice side, which I believe is number 1. for the
Okay.
City of Brandon.
Got a motion by Mr. Morrison,
Second.
second by Mr. Keith. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Now we're to 3 and 4. Counselor, would you like to, again, I'm looking for a resolution that I can carry from here back to our board and to the Rankin County School District, that we've got some unity of thought that these conceptual streets in Brandon are indeed a path that we need to invest some money on and work toward. That's what I'm looking for.
President, if I may, we're going to need to add that item. That particular item is not on the agenda, so we would need a motion to add the consideration of, help me out here, Mayor, Old Lakeland Drive.
I would call it a new street named Depot
Okay.
Road.
A new street named Depot Road, and then the College Street to North Street, College Street to Highway 80, new road. So we would need both of those. We can do that as one item, a separate resolution for each of those. Is that what you're looking for, Mayor?
Okay.
We need to add that item.
For each separate one?
No, just one item, 2 resolutions, one for each of the street projects that have been identified.
Okay. Do I have a motion to add that item to the agenda?
Second.
Motion by myself, second by
Oh, I thought we
It's
had a
okay.
motion.
No, I got it. That's good. We're good.
Exactly.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Now we need a motion and a second, or a motion on the for the resolution.
Actually to approve the adoption of a resolution which we will draft for review. I would assume we can take that up on the 2nd, in our
Okay.
meeting on the 2nd, if I can put the resolution together.
So are we asking for participation in building these roads?
I want to know, where are we putting ourselves as commitment? Because obviously it's a good thing, very good thing. Obviously it's needed,
Right.
but just like
What is the?
there's
I
a need all
understand.
over the place, how we are committing, where are we putting ourselves?
The whole thing's got a lot of hair on it, just to put it bluntly. You got private property, county property, school district property, and it's inside the city and all this kind of stuff. And we've got Joe McGee, who's building 471. So with a resolution from you that I carry to our board and I carry to Rankin County School District, and I'll sit down specifically with Joe McGee and say, okay, what I need to do. Next step would be, we would get it topoed, so we can determine where the road bed would go. We're going to have to go through all the things with the school district, of getting timber cut and all that kind of stuff, and getting bids on that. And just hopefully, we've got enough time to do that before he starts cutting the top of that hill off. I think we will, because I know he's gonna be under the gun to get to the other end of that road up and running before August. So we've got a couple of months to work with, but time is of the essence. I'm not looking for any commitment. I'll come back with that once we get the topo done and we get some estimates done, because there'll be a lot of this that the county can accomplish and the city can accomplish working together.
And we'll make it clear in the resolution that there is no commitment of any kind being made other than support of moving forward.
Support of the idea?
Well,
Right.
that's
Or the-
my problem. I mean, I'm not really interested in building city streets, and I don't blame you for asking, but, you know, we contribute to corridors, and we help where we can, but we don't have an endless supply of money. And if we do this for you, then we need to be able to do it for everybody else too. So, you know, I don't,
I mean, we usually
I'm
contribute
leery
bridges
about-
and culverts and things in certain things, on
Yeah.
certain projects.
I understand what you're saying. It's more, I think, infrastructure, in which we've already done in other municipalities, getting them around other areas faster, you know, to different areas.
we
which-
participate in East Metro and West Rankin. Those
Right.
are both 4-lane corridors.
Correct. I
And
understand.
if one of these were gonna be a 4-lane road, I would be more than happy to contribute.
Right.
But I don't think that's the case. I think this is just opening development for the city. And if we're gonna do it
Which-
for them, we need to be able to do it for Flowwood. They've built several roads and haven't come to us and asked for money.
I've got to ask a
Yeah.
question though. How much of that property did you own in Flowood? Because the county owns most of this property.
And
Well, true enough, but
And I'm
still.
sure whenever we get ready to start building a building, we're gonna need to participate on some road work, cause we're gonna need to make some changes, but I don't wanna, you know, commit to building 2 or 3 more streets.
If we do a resolution, aren't we kind of committing?
That's,
But what I'm understanding is it's a resolution of support for the idea of the project. You would be laying down a marker that what you see on that screen, and by the way, we had talked to the sheriff, I see, you know, how that's gonna impact jail expansion at some point, those kinds of things, so we need some input there. But what I'm seeing is a clear impact on county property. I'll point something else as well. The ingress and egress to what we call the Trustmark site is deeply impacted by what you see right there on that screen.
Yeah.
And so I see a very clear connection to this board as it relates to this particular part of the project right there, this College Street, North Street, Highway 80 corridor. That's an important aspect of what we're talking about here. So I can see some impact there for sure. And the fact that it crosses county property significantly, you're gonna have to be involved.
Right.
So, what I understood the concept to be is that this board would be in support of moving forward with these projects without a commitment.
Well, I think that's the way it ought to read then, as far as the motion.
I think he'll clear it up to make sure that we're not on the hook, but we're in
We're supporting you
support
doing it.
of-
I'm in support of
Right.
any city
And I
doing
think
it.
that's
That's
what
how
the-
much we're gonna put in.
and I don't know that until we get topos and estimates and all that kind of stuff to come back to you with that, to ask for that. Other thing I want to bear out here is, gentlemen, this is your county seat. You don't have another one. So, you know,
There is a little difference.
That's a little different. That's a hard sell there. I'm not gonna speak out on
this
that.
is a seat of county government. Well, you know.
I'm not, no.
Well, I mean, I'll speak out on it. You're right. I mean, you
Well,
only
it
have
is,
one
but
county
no,
seat.
I'm not gonna sell that to the public. This is the county seat. We're fixing to do all this.
Well, that's where everyone drives into, so I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you do that. If you don't look at that, you look at any city in here, any city out there, we can say, well, we all drive into it. We all use it. And the cities love that. Say, well, y'all all use our streets. Why don't you build some more?
Most of it is private.
I will say, I went to the presentation last time, or week when we were here, and Mayor Rhodes is here. I recognized that he sat here and listened to all your presentation, and probably thought it was a very good idea. He might have some he wanted to build too. So, I mean, it was like what Jay said, you got everywhere.
Key difference is county doesn't own a lot of property in other municipalities. You own a lot of property in Brandon. So therefore, we're tied together like Siamese twins. You know, what's good for the city of Brandon is good for the county, and vice versa. So, you know, almost what I'm hearing here, this flavor is that the expectation is you're expecting the citizens of Brandon to put forth the bills to build the infrastructure for everybody in the county to use when they come to do county business. That's not quite.
No, that's not really. Like I said, I'm not saying we wouldn't be
I know.
participate. I just don't want to commit to. I don't know what that participation would be.
But a resolution from you that you're in agreement with would give me the headwind to go find out, to bring back those plans and define that a little better.
But where does that leave us as far as saying, no, we're not going to be able to do that?
Well, it dies dead as a stick.
Okay. We've already got the.
Why don't you get some of that estimated cost of different things before you, and come back to us and see if we can do some of that?
Because the same conversation I'm having with the Rankin County School Board, same conversation I'm having with our board. So you're dealing with three governmental entities that I'm trying to work through and get unity of thought. You know, everybody wants to sit back and do this.
Has the school board given you a resolution?
No, I'll leave here and go to their next meeting with it. You know, I'll leave here and go to our next meeting, which is Monday night.
Well, if they build a road, it'll be the first one.
Well, who built the rest of their roads?
We did.
Case in point.
That's
So
what I'm
you've got a
saying,
city here that's willing to take the bull by the horns and do it.
How much of that property is actually county property on where that road is?
All right, there's the parking lot behind, no, that's Trustmark.
Yeah.
That's their parking lot. This is yours in here, and I'm not quite sure where it corners back in here. Then all of this around to right about there. So every bit of that is.
Well, that's a ravine that you're talking about putting a road in. How in the world
You
are
ever
you going to try to
driven
do that?
You ever driven in Birmingham, Alabama?
Yeah.
You go up and down.
Well, I mean, that's a
around.
watershed, though. I mean,
There are ways to manage water. That's what we pay engineers to help us figure out how to do.
All right.
There's no private property you would have to quick take.
There is private property on this end, so the city will have to figure out the mechanics of that.
And on
Why have
Felicity.
that conversation? Why would you ask me to go out there and do appraisals to approach somebody when I don't have any idea that you're in agreement?
Right. From the
You ask
get-go.
me to spend money that
Kind of be redundant, wouldn't it?
it'd be fruitless.
Right. All right, so we have this on the table. We actually have it on the agenda now, right? Correct. So we can actually vote up or down on this. So,
I'm not against it. I just don't know that we're committing something yet. Greg,
and I agree. I understand what you're saying. I just think that our attorney, if you feel safe, that you can put something together with a resolution that will not
it's like
tie
telling
us to.
your kids you're going to buy them a new car when they graduate and things don't go right. You've already committed to it.
Well, believe me, I've done that to my kids,
I
and
know,
I
but I'm
promise
just
you, when
saying,
it don't happen,
I
it
hate to
doesn't
commit
happen.
to it. I always tell mine, we'll see, and that's kind of what I'd like to tell you, we'll see.
Well, that's why I think that's the way he can word it.
If you guys move to authorize the drafting of a resolution of support, it will not contain any commitment of any kind, other than to support the project.
And I think that's is that all you're asking for, Mayor?
Oh, man.
Okay.
That way
You
our
feel better
board
with-
understands fully that we've communicated everything we have to this point to every one of you. And school board the same way.
Right.
You might should have heard that. You might want to go back over that, Rodney, for Rodney's sake.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I just don't want you to be out of the loop on what we just talked about. We're talking about, like a commitment. You know, I said, I'd like to basically tell him we'll see. I've always explained to my children, rather than saying, yes, I will do that, we'll see if I can. You know, and I just don't, he's making sure we're not in a committing wording to where we're not committing ourselves.
It's similar to what we would draft a resolution of support of a particular piece of legislation. you're not indicating any commitment to that of any kind. You're asking somebody else to consider your support of that in deliberating what they want to do. The mayor's saying he's got to talk to other decision makers, school district and his board. And so having a support resolution would be helpful. The impact of county property, I understand completely what we're trying to accomplish here. The project impacts significantly county-owned property. So as the owner of the property, if this board decides now it's not interested in having a city street cross through its property, then he doesn't have any further to go.
Right. Okay.
All right. So do I have a motion either way on this?
Any more discussion? Anybody's got any questions? Jay?
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the concept, I guess that's a good wording, to have a resolution drafted to working towards with the city of Brandon to move forward on this on these projects of different streets.
Wait a minute, Greg. I just thought of something before we get a second.
Okay.
Could we not let Craig go ahead and draft a resolution could we not approve him to draft one that we agree on?
The resolution obviously is not prepared. So,
Right.
If you would prefer, we can handle it this way. If you prefer, just
Do it
instruct
for
me to
Monday.
get those two
Okay.
resolutions together, and we'll take it up on Tuesday, Monday.
Yeah.
Take it up at the meeting.
Okay.
On Monday.
Well,
How about that way we'll actually
Right.
know what we're working with.
Right.
There will be,
Okay.
A document in front of you that you can review.
Gotcha.
and say, This reads like I would like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I'll
See,
withdraw my
it's
motion
still
on that.
not gonna answer our cost,
Huh?
because all it is a resolution of commitment to help.
But I'd like
But
to
it'll
see
make
what
him-
he's
The other
right.
two entities, and
Right.
so before
Well,
he
this
goes
way
to
we can
those,
have
we still don't know
actual
what it's gonna
Right.
cost.
But
This
I
will
think
make,
I'll understand how this
Right.
resolution's gonna read and how I would, that I'll.
you good with
feel
that, Mayor?
comfortable That I'm not.
Yes.
Okay, so Monday,
What about Monday?
Monday we'll have the verbiage from our attorney, and that way we can vote up or down on this, but
Absolutely.
I'll
be back
withdraw my,
Monday. The only other thing I would ask, Mr. Slay, that you include in there is the Rankin County School District.
Yes.
Because, again, this portion of the property is theirs.
Right.
So without them participating in an
Right.
agreement, we don't have any way to go forward either.
right,
And as we sit here today, we don't really know the status in terms of ownership, although this is being addressed. But that extreme north end of that loop that's on, that is behind the Trustmark parking lot
Mhm.
and the county parking lot right there, that extreme north end right there, we don't know as we sit here today
This is,
what that impacts.
other element is, I've yet to put this on a parcel map
Yes, sir.
to know where those property lines are. You know, this could be down here, you know, it's just a conceptual
basically,
drawing.
We only own the part that's adjacent to North Street. Trustmark owns
You own this.
we own that, we don't own that whole piece right now.
That's a pretty big piece.
You own
Do we?
the majority
What
of
I
it.
don't know is, looking at this map, exactly what part of those roads, if any, actually touches county-owned property already. Understand that, you remember from the.
Mr. Munn owns a 20-foot strip out there.
Yeah, but, the extreme northeast corner up there, I'm pretty confident that that touches county property. Remember that hook that goes out all the way up North Street? Extends north.
Could we get a parcel map included with this resolution for eyes on it?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty confident that part of that road crosses county property.
Mr. Slay.
That little narrow piece you were talking about going up,
Yes, sir.
the research that my guys did, the descriptions for the site out there, indicated to us that the county did not own it. The reason, and legal guys working with that, was that, on the description of that line, the south line of that property, the call on it was all the way to North Street, which would mean maybe the distance shown on there is in error. But, we've been told by the legal leaders that when a call is like that, if it goes to the west right of way of the street. That's where it goes, regardless of the distance it's shown in there, so I don't know. You should have that up since you're on the street.
Okay. Well, like I said, there may be some impact on county property. We can't tell from this map whether there is or not.
Okay.
Well, you know, actually, the parcel map that it shows here, I thought Trustmark owned some of that.
But it's all,
The parking lot.
it's
See,
all,
this shows,
Parking
this
lot,
is-
I think.
it's all south of these roads.
Some of that right
this
there.
only shows that one parcel there, one right there, and all the rest is one building. They don't have it stored out. Of course, this may be old, not updated stuff.
So that's us, and that's.
Yeah, this is us right here.
All right. So you'll have
Put together a couple of resolutions. and
have that ready for the second.
That sounds good.
They'll be ready to
Good.
look at Monday.
Okay.
Sounds
I don't
good.
feel need any action on it today.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good. Thank you.
Last but not least.
Last but not least, Luckney Road. Not gonna be here.
I'm not sure. I guess I need some,
Yeah, actually, I was surprised to find out that we were working with state aid last time that, on this project. So where are we at on, I thought last we discussed that $800,000, y'all two are gonna get together and talk about what roads we were gonna overlay.
Yes, we have an ongoing overlay project now. And some of the additional funds that came in the state aid were gonna be utilized on that, on a couple of roads. I know a couple of them where state aid has already written us up in inspection last year that they needed an overlay. So I'm not sure what the mayor was showing, that $1.4 million. I think that is already in the mill to be taken up as an addition to our overlay contract. Now there again, under state aid, as a general rule, the counties get funds every board term. So supposedly, this time next year, something will come out about what type of monies Rankin County will get
For the next term.
for the next term.
Yeah.
Actually, for the next 4-year term, you can spend it any time during that 4-year term. But that is the part that I had in my mind, trying to get a program together to use those monies. Of course, this doesn't fit the schedule the mayor's talking about. But the first thing you have to do with state aid is submit a program, and they have to sign off on it. The mayor just recently got me some information out of all this paperwork he got. So, 'cause we didn't even know how far Joe McGee's project, which is MDOT project, how far they were coming up Luckney Road. They're realigning the interchange there. So we couldn't program a project with state aid until we knew what our limits were.
right.
So we're in the process now of working on a program to submit to state aid. There again, before I submit that program to state aid, I got to come get this board to approve that program. Because it won't be like an overlay job like our last stuff had, a maintenance type project. This will be actually a construction project. You heard the mayor talking about what all was out there and what all got to be done. Well, it's just basically rebuilding that road. So it's going to be an expensive project. But I guess the reason I'm addressing this is I'm not sure that $1.4 million would be available for Luckney Road. Because we've already been in conversation with the district engineer about that, taking care of 2 or maybe 3 roads that state aid in their last annual maintenance inspection said need to be overlaid. In fact, one of those roads is Greenfield Road, partly in Pearl and part in Brandon, I think. I'd have to look back. But I think those monies are obligated, are in the process of being obligated. Not obligated yet, but in the process of being obligated. So only reason I bring it up, I don't know whether that, I think $1.4 million what the mayor was showing. I'm not
Just for
sure.
next term's money?
I'm not sure that would be available for Luckney Road. Now, obviously, when the new monies come about, in the next board term, as a general rule, Rankin County gets $5 million. The state gets so much, and by a formula that state aid has, a certain percentage of that comes to Rankin County. And in the past, it's been about roughly $5 million. Have I totally confused?
That was a big discussion in MAS.
I guess
about that, because
other problems
the
with state-
formula.
Yes.
Other problem with state aid is that you can't use it for utility relocation,
Right.
nor can you use it for right-of-way
That's correct.
acquisition.
Right.
And that's why it's gonna take city participation there to get it done. Now, Luckney Road has existed in that way ever since I remember, but it has always been a state aid road. So, the question is, how did the other end of Luckney Road turn out looking like that, and this end turn out looking like that?
And that's why I was gonna ask a question. Buster,
Yes, sir.
how long, in Rankin County, how long is the other end? Has it always looked that wide, or?
No, well, what, the entire road is on the state aid system.
Okay,
And this Board of Supervisors at any time can ask that a road be removed from the state aid system, as long as state aid money hadn't been spent on it.
right,
I
it's already been
just wanted
spent
to
on.
throw that out.
Right.
because It is on the system. All right, in the past, a project was funded or done before my time. See, I didn't start till '89, working with the county that started maybe back in Harry Wallen's day. I don't recall, but anyway, they had a project to improve a part of Luckney Road. Why the part was chosen, I have no word to that. I know no record of why it was just a portion of it.
Well, it used to be where the city limits were. didn't it?
Well, that's true, but that was annexed 7 years
Right,
ago. So
yeah.
going back in time, that wasn't accomplished whenever the other improvements were made.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
just annexed 7 years ago.
Well, I know that since I've been a supervisor, we've overlaid Luckney twice.
Mhm.
And the first time, I think the county came in and finished paving out the rest of Luckney with just county dollars.
County dollars.
Yeah. And I ain't so sure we wouldn't be willing to do that now.
It's
But-
not gonna help though. It's really making it worse because it's making the drop off of that asphalt deeper. There's no shoulder there. It's kinda like 471. There is no shoulder.
State aid stuff anyway.
Now, one thing, Tim,
Yeah, I'm a little confused on the length. Are we going from the Brandon City, based on the information that you had sent to our office, 471 pretty much right there at Luckney, even though they're gonna relocate the intersection, 471's pretty much back on line right there, isn't it?
No, it's a little bit off.
Is it not much feet?
Basically, they're gonna kind of realign that from the bridge to 471. They're gonna go into that lot on the left side. So,
But from existing intersection of 471 and Luckney now to the city limits is almost 1.9 miles.
okay.
And that's why I keep getting confused I keep thinking, I don't know where this 0.7 miles is, and maybe I'm
Okay.
missing something.
yeah, we had that
Looking
check.
at the realignment,
That's just in my head.
it looks like Joe McGee's gonna go
Much more.
about 1,000 feet up Luckney Road,
He's not going to the bridge.
which is gonna put it maybe at about 1.7, and that may be where,
Okay.
it got lost in
So it'd be
translation.
twice as much
1.7.
as what the mayor.
yes.
But it's just a portion.
He said 7/10, yeah.
And
The
I point that
discussion
out-
is the city limits to
Right,
471.
and I point that out because my concern
He
is
said
the
17.
funding. You're
Not
talking
enough
about it
money.
may not be enough there with the utilities and those kind of things, so you're talking about probably.
Oh, that hadn't been done.
A lot of that area that's, appears to be in the right of way.
I wrote it to the,
utility
I
folks
went to the,
work early.
I went to.
There are some pinch points, and
I-
that's where the hit is.
Looking at it, I was trying to figure that too.
I'll look at that one,
Yes, sir.
and that 18 feet.
Jay, I remember, it's been a number of years back, but when we were discussing the construction of the Grants Ferry Parkway and where it intersects with Highway 471, at that time, you were in favor of finding a way to cut across and let that tie into Luckney as a connector road.
Yeah.
If that should come to fruition, and all indications are Mr. Bailey is at some point still planning to build that road.
I'm sure I won't be here when that happens.
I'm fairly certain I won't either, but don't you think now would be the time to try to get that programmed in state aid and get it improved so that if it does come.
Well, if it was a
tie
connect
in.
over, it would be connecting on down anyway. I mean, it wouldn't be in that section of the road.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'm just curious though, so you confuse me on the money that we do have available now, that we discussed a couple months ago, that we have the 800 something thousand. What, is this what we're talking about doing with it, or?
America got the $1,445,000 is through some monies that became available through state aid. And we have an ongoing overlay maintenance contract. And the plan was to add a couple or three, and don't hold me to that, but let's say some road footage to that existing maintenance contract to satisfy, for lack of a better term, some of the needs that state aid has already told us about. In other words, we do this annual inspection. By the way, y'all probably got a letter, we got another coming out in March. Supervisor where state aid looks at all the state aid roads and looks at improvements, and they come back and tell us what's gotta be done within the next year. You know, you gotta do this, you gotta replace this, and so forth. And these roads that they come up and say, well, they need an overlay. Well, the reason we're including some of those is we have an overlay contract ongoing with state aid now. Have I confused you more?
Well, I don't think though,
No.
what you're saying is the 800,000 was not going toward Lutney Road.
No.
And I think because I asked, not about this, but I've just asked over time, because I didn't understand a lot of this, how state aid money has to be used certain ways, can't be used certain ways, and you think, this road would be qualify. And I didn't realize, well, let's use Greenfield Road, for example. I didn't think it was that bad, but that's one of the roads they're saying needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we got a lot of other roads worse than that. So that was my point, is I don't understand what the criteria always is. And I see, so you're putting that out there, it has to be used in certain places, and we just always can't pick a road to use it on.
And I think you as a board probably have a little sway as to what needs attention and what doesn't, as to be
Not
back to that.
in
we
some
can vote
places
on
where
which
the
ones
state
we
aid
want.
funds go, we don't.
Oh, yeah, the
Oh, yeah.
board has some say-so.
Oh, yeah.
But
You don't make any points when state aid tells you this road needs overlay and you don't overlay it. That's
But we
pretty
can't
much
just
as
go
blunt as I can
put a
it.
road in it that's not in it, that they hadn't already deemed.
Problem is, you can't use, I think the how you can use those funds on that road has gone on so long that the conditions of the road are in such deplorable shape, you can't put more money into that road. You can't resurface it with state aid monies. You might with county money, but you can't with state aid because the road bed itself doesn't meet the specifications
It'd be a total
accepted today.
reconstruction.
So
Oh, yeah,
it's
you
gonna
couldn't,
take-
you couldn't
It'd
have
be
a
total.
state aid overlay on that
I
part of
tried to
Lutney.
explain that on the front end, trying to get everybody out of the box about why it appeared that Brandon was left out of the end of a state aid improvement.
Yeah.
And
I
it's
don't
because of
understand
the
that
condition of the road bed. It's that bad. So I'd say, correct me, I understand. I believe this board could communicate very easily with state aid saying, we've got a problem. And we
Well,
want
and
to move it to the front of the line. So, you
And so,
know,
but I mean, really, we're talking about reconstruction of that section.
yes. And traffic count, I think is somewhere around 9,000 vehicles a day, 8,000 something. Oh, and I don't know how old that is. I think that's probably a year old, and it's only gonna get worse. When that highway comes in, 471, that is Flowood Brandon connector. 25, 471. It's an important road.
Now, let me ask you a question, Mr. Engineer. How do we go moving forward now, today, getting that piece fixed?
Well, we're looking into preparing a program, which is the first thing you have to do with state aid on something like that. Prepare a program then I would bring that program to the Board of Supervisors, and that program would be to reconstruct that portion of Old Fannin Road.
And that program can also.
Luckney Road.
I mean, Luckney Road.
That program can also, when you say a program, does that include, kind of like what the mayor is saying, a piece of the city of Brandon? I mean, I don't understand what a program entails, and I don't need a real long.
Basically, it's just a program for Rankin County to agree to improve a stretch of roadway.
Okay.
That's basically what it amounts to.
How long will that take?
We'd have to run, to prepare the program.
Yes, sir, to get that to state aid to whoever, to get this thing moving.
And get it through the state aid, you're probably looking at killing a month,
Okay.
I'm guessing.
So, and the bottom line of it is, he's right, about 9,000 a day, somewhere around there, I would say.
A lot of traffic.
A lot of traffic. And, you know, and I kind of go back to, and I remember one of my board members a few minutes ago saying something about streets in cities and stuff like that. Henderson Road, I think. Am I right? Wasn't Henderson in a city?
No, not where we did it.
Wasn't, but it is now.
It got annexed after
Yeah.
we did the project.
After the
Okay.
That ain't unusual, you know.
I know.
No.
We'll go fix a road and the city will go get it.
Ends up going to get it. Which, but the bottom line is, it's a city now. So and I kind of go with, guys, we're in this business for infrastructure. And yes, this thing does connect from one city to the other. If it helps good from one area, it helps good for another. This is all Rankin County. And I think that we need to move forward from our engineer to go ahead and get that program ready. I mean, that's, the longer we talk about it, I mean, it's been that way for years and years and years. Well, it's very definite that 3 of us are not going to be on this board next term. So,
I'm rethinking that.
I'm all for looking at it. That's not, I don't think that's even in question. I mean, you get it on there, I agree it's needed, but it's not just something I think we can just say, we're gonna do that. And I think you understand that.
Well, even in using state aid monies, you can't accomplish with state aid monies what the road bed's gonna need. It's
And the
gonna
right
have
of
to-
way.
It's gonna have, and utility relocate, it's gonna have to be an LPA project. So, I mean, perhaps we can get 3 million out of state aid dedicated in the program to it, or whatever that number is. Then we enter into that interlocal, so that we start scurrying around trying to figure out the way to do the rest of it.
right.
But if we don't do anything, it's gonna be just like it is 5 years from now, and that's
Or 20
unacceptable.
And that's the way it is on, geez, I'm sure everybody in here can come up, have the same story on a lot of different areas. And that's where we try to get all we can in the state aid program, that, try to be in that mix.
Well, actually, we don't try to add any more because we don't have enough money as it is to take care of the ones we got.
5 million, if that's what we get, that's not a drop in the bucket.
Well, and you said it right off the bat. Once you put money into one, you cannot drop it out.
That's right, once you spend state aid money, then you're locked in to maintain.
So, I can say right now,
good,
had
man.
we had future thoughts years ago, there may have been some other areas that we may not should have put money into state aid roads where we got 9,000 cars coming daily. So, let's work with, we'll keep pushing Buster, and I think Buster knows where he needs to go.
Sure.
I want to clarify one thing, and just on the basis of what I've heard today in this discussion, it seems pretty clear to me that we're talking about a process that's going to extend well beyond the term of this board before there's any real decision, like an interlocal agreement being prepared and needing to be entered into with respect to this project. We're not likely to have the detail and data that would be required. I'm hearing issues of programming, submitting that to state aid. Who knows how long they'll sit on it before they make any sort of decision relative to it. My understanding is that there are ways that they delineate funding that could make a big impact on whether or not that money could be available for a project like this. If they call it a local system outlay, that can't be used.
Yeah, any money that comes to state aid generally comes in 2 ways, either LSBP money or state aid money. And if it's LSVP money, and we've got our bridges in good shape, we're fixing to bid that last one on Star Road, and anyway, we can use those funds then on local roads, not state aid roads, but on local roads. That's the reason we have the LSRP project. That's what we're doing. But if it comes to the county in SAP funds, then those can be spent on state aid roads.
And we're waiting on the legislature and state aid to sort of indicate
Yeah.
this additional infusion of funding, which categories
Which
it's
direction
gonna
it'll
fall
go.
into. We're talking about a project where if they categorize it in a particular way,
Right.
we can't, even if we are ready to move, we can't use the dollars on that.
And Butch, winter conference, that came up by several of county supervisors in discussion, and because that was the thing, how can we move money into different things because with state aid people, and that was something that was a heavy discussion, which is right on the line of what he's saying. Once it's locked in here, we got it over here, but that was a big discussion at MAS with some of the actually some of the legislators that handle a lot of the state aid funding.
I visited with Mr. Kerry Webb, who is a Brandon resident. He wonders why nothing's ever been done on that stretch of road either. He travels it about 4 days a week, so he's got the same questions.
Yeah.
So Buster, just for clarification, are we going to attempt to get an additional funding from state aid? Or will we be getting our usual allotment and then carving out the portion of money needed to take care of this problem?
Okay, this additional fund that they're saying is gonna come, we don't know how much it's gonna be, whether it be LSP funds or SAP fund, whatever. All right, that's one part of money. What I'm saying is in it, every board term, first of the year, board term, the county gets a certain amount of money allocated from state aid, excuse me. And in the past several board terms, it's been $5 million. I think the formula, Rankin County is 4% on the statewide monies. But we've been getting $5 million now. And what can happen with that money is that this board can instruct me to program any state aid road that you want.
So
State aid has to end up approving it, but if it's doing something on state aid road, they'll approve it.
So if we program this in and ask and want to put this to the top of the list and they'll give us the go-ahead, we're not going to get additional funding. We're going to get our usual 4-year allotment and we'll take that money out of that to take care of those.
That's correct. Now, you could possibly use some of this other pot that we talked about, additional funds. We just don't know how much. It may not be $100,000, it may be $100 million. Nobody knows.
And we don't know how it's
No, it won't be
categorized.
100 million.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
We'll find that out.
And when will we know all this? When is all this supposed to take place?
I can't answer that. And state aid is waiting on the legislature to do something. So I don't know when it will come down.
And so here's why I went into that whole soliloquy about timing. As you know, last year's board term road project, limitations on what can be done without special local and private. If we don't get a local and private, that accepts or carves out particular roads where we know we've got the possibility of doing some sort of letting of a contract, we can't do it in the last year board term. So that whole interplay is back on the table. Although, from this discussion today, I don't see any way that we would, regardless of what action we take, I don't see how we're gonna be in a position to let a contract on Luckney Road in the last year of this term.
No.
There's just not
Not
any
enough
way
time.
that happen.
Yeah,
So,
time again.
I see no reason for us to entertain a local and private on that, because we know going in, it will make a difference. We're not gonna be letting the contract on Luckney in 2020.
It's a time factor.
Okay, so what we're talking about here today, doing, is something that's going to be impacting a later board. Not this year.
Okay.
And you won't be programming. I mean, you'll be programming as far as state aid monies, but you won't be doing the project. We'll be doing the project because it encompasses utility, right-of-way, and road. State aid can only address road, so it's gotta be an LPA project. So we gotta be tied at the hips.
So we can't
Well-
get state aid money going to LPA project, can we?
It doesn't particularly have to be an LPA. I mean, you can make it LPA, but there are a lot of projects where, yes, if the county or the municipality or whatever goes in and obtains the right of way, goes in and takes care of the utilities, and state aid funds building the road, doesn't particularly have to be an LPA project. State aid just has to know that that the right of way is there and that the utilities are relocated. That's all. That's my
Kind of like
understanding.
getting it all prepared, then waiting for it has to be prepared before the money can come, in a sense. What he's saying. You have to have all these.
Chicken or the egg, because you spend
Yeah,
all
okay.
that money doing right-of-way and utility relocation, then there's nothing to come.
I know, but but that happens on a lot of them. And that's the reason when the money is available, some of them are able to get it, that sometimes we're not able to. I say we, maybe you, or you've been at, MPO, you see how they want these things ready. So when the money's available, they look at some of those that have these, all the pieces of the puzzle put together.
Mhm.
I'm going to ask Mr. Buster for some help here, but it seems to me where we are today is some sort of authorization or intention of the board that it's appropriate for Mr. Buster to proceed with programming
Yeah.
and submitting to state aid, with the assumption, of course, being that right-of-way acquisition will be dealt with. We just have to make some assumptions. Right-of-way acquisition will be dealt with, utility relocation will be dealt with. And on that assumption, then this program submitted to state aid can be implemented.
That's fair.
So,
Well, I don't know if I want to give up $4 million or $5 million, that leaves very little for the rest of the county to take care of our state aid roads. Is there a way we can get some additional funding out of state aid?
Be difficult. There again, this additional money that's being taught, and that's what it is right now, it's taught. But, there seems to be a good consensus that some additional funds are coming. We don't know how much. But as a general rule, forget all these special things that the legislature may do, as a general rule, state aid is going to get a certain amount of money, and Rankin County is going to roughly get 4% of that money.
Buster, do us a favor, get us a listing, full listing, and I'm sure you've done that before. I know you probably have, of every state aid road that we already have right now.
On the list.
That's on the system.
That's on that we put money into.
We get it every year.
Well, I know. I'm just saying that. Can you get that to us, an accurate list?
Sure.
What's that gonna help?
Well, and what I'm going to do from there is I'm going to get some traffic counts, and I want to find out exactly. I mean, if the future boards will look at 9,000 cars per day versus 150 cars per day. I don't know how many cars. You know what I'm saying? I know there's some roads out there with very few cars that go out there on state aid roads. So, apples to apples or apples to oranges. So it's up to the next board, but I think you're right in line. We need to be programmed getting ready because it's coming. 471 is just going to make it huge.
and programming it through the system does not obligate the board to do anything.
No.
Well,
You
as
can
far as
get-
that,
you
I'm
can get a
gonna obligate
program.
$4 million now.
Get it in line.
No, we can't.
And have it prepared so that if the next board is ready to move forward and the funding is appropriate and it seems that all of the other requirements around the county can be met, then, they'll have that in hand.
So we're just putting it on an approved list.
It would be on the list, with enough detail there, Rodney, to where a board could conceivably, without a lot of additional effort, move forward with the project.
If utility relocation was already done and right-of-way acquisition, how much, what's just a ballpark figure on doing 7/10 of a mile?
Well, you're gonna be doing more than 7/10 of a mile.
I thought it was mile 17.
Yeah,
It's over a mile.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, you're gonna be doing about twice, so 7/10 of a mile. I don't know, we haven't run an estimate on this yet. We've not run an estimate on what, because we just got the limits recently. So you're talking about probably where it's going to be done several $1 million.
But certainly not the $5 million allocation that always comes from state aid.
I would hope not, yes, sir. Until I look at some of the particulars a little bit more, Mr. Johnson, I don't want to go too far out on that limb. Because I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, I understand, when you get on out on
That
too
sucker
far
will
on
break
that
off on me,
limb,
yes,
can snap on you, can't
sir.
it?
Yes.
Well, it sounds like we're a lot closer than we were 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Let's put it that way. So,
And we need to get Butch a chair over there, you know.
I'm good. I appreciate your time.
All right.
no, thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you.
We got an item on here, Mr. President.
Yes, sir.
About
First, I just say something off the record, just to tell you what, let me take a second. Mr. Lindsay does want to settle, and I'll get with the attorney, and we'll work out the details, as long as it doesn't break even. He wants to do whatever's necessary to, to be in compliance.
Great.
Hey,
Thank,
here's your book that he brought, I'm glad you came back, that he put together. Will you give that back to him, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I apologize. I'm flying ahead, but I did.
All right, we've got the item C. Yes.
Actually, are we passing item B?
Well, we got discussion and possible action regarding county participation in improvement of Luckney Road. I thought that we were.
We moved on.
Oh, we don't pass that.
Yeah, I just wanted a clear indication for us to go ahead and have it move through the program.
Do we need to?
Process of state aid. Do you need anything official, the state aid gonna require anything official?
No, because what's gonna happen, when we get the program, then I'm gonna stand up here and I'm gonna recommend this program to the board.
Okay.
And if the board approves it, then it goes on to state aid.
So you figure about a month before programming and all that ready to go.
Hopefully so.
Gother.
He said by the end of the month, though. That's real
No,
close, isn't it?
Yeah, that's-
whoa.
Couple days.
Depends on which month, Jerry.
End of the month.
I was counting the days. Well, it'll be quick.
You'll be working
We're
over
good. We're not that good.
over the weekend.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Super Bowl Sunday.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on. We've got number C.
Item C, you guys were provided an example letter to NDA relative to the East Metro mega site that just simply indicates your understanding that NDA is moving forward with the certification of the East Metro mega site. Entergy has already certified the site. It is now to the point where MDA and Rankin First are asking for, again, a support letter that indicates to any third party that may express an interest in the site that the Board of Supervisors is prepared to move forward with whatever is going to be required.
Can we add something to that, rather than just having the East Metro mega site, but any site in the county?
Yeah, well, as it relates to the East Metro mega site, MDA is probably not working on
Alright.
any other sites, Jay. So
Gotcha.
this is an MDA letter.
Alright.
It's
Right.
going to MDA. And it's,
Motion to approve?
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Johnson. Questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Item D.
quickly, the EOC, and, I believe, who was Chris with now? UMC?
UMC.
All right. EOC is working with our local hospitals, UMC, to do some specific disaster preparedness training, and they want to be able to use the multipurpose arena. The question just simply came up, is it okay to not charge UMC either the rental fee or a deposit requirement for their disaster training that they're working with our local law enforcement responders? And we need to indicate back to Trish if that would be okay with the board.
As long as they're willing to clean up anything their horses leave.
Elaborate on what that
was a mobile hospital, more or less, they took his 18-wheelers over and set up a hospital over in the parking lot inside.
Yeah.
Right.
Train. So if it needed mess, we get the inmates cleaned up.
Great.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Bishop,
Second.
second by Mr.
Morrison.
Morrison.
Not to charge them.
Thank you.
Any questions?
And before we vote, can I throw one other item in there? There's other matters on there as well. The other matters is a catch-all that I wanted to point out to you. We've got 14 area churches
Fine print.
that have gone together to do a countywide youth program. It's called Collide.
I heard about that Saturday.
We've already gave that approval.
Well, on the use of the.
She came and asked us last board meeting.
Even not in a meeting.
Do we have to officially do it?
Well, we just need some sort of indication that it's okay for her to not charge a rental or deposit for the use of the facility. I think it would be appropriate, with your permission, to request some sort of certificate of liability coverage for and on behalf of that group that we could have in our possession.
We better hurry, because it's coming up quick.
Yeah, it's actually coming up Saturday.
Yes.
So that's why we're taking it up now. Does anybody have a specific issue with waiving the rental and the deposit for this combined church effort?
No.
We can make, if you'll amend your motion, Judge.
Amend
To include that, and they get a liability
I
policy.
go ahead and, because I didn't charge, I'm waiving the fee on the using the room too, the stone room.
Yes.
But I did make them put a deposit, so I got to bring new TVs and stuff.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't blame you. So you amend your motion, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion by Mr. Bishop,
There.
second by Mr. Keith. Any more questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
And I would suggest that somebody convey to Mr. Wiley that he might not need to bite the hand that used to feed him. Here we are reaching out and letting him use our facilities after he's, and.
What did he do?
I know Facebook's a crazy thing, but when we made our commitment to the Flowood Convention Center, he put some posts on there, and I won't go into the description of what he called this 5-member board, but it wasn't anything nice.
Really?
Oh, no, not at all.
Wasn't me.
That's exactly, yeah.
Wasn't me.
He's correct.
No, it's Chris Wiley,
No, it wasn't you.
who left our EOC and went to work for UMC.
Very rough language. Let's put it that. We'll leave it at that.
I haven't seen him post anything since Flowood gave us that $2.5 million last meeting.
Yeah.
Huh.
All right, moving right along. Miss Laura Oster.
Only have one thing, this one we go to the review of the agendas, and that's authority to pay the tuition fee in the amount of $60 for Brett Ishii to attend 3 blocks of EMT transitional refresher course taught by Hines Community College to be held at Brandon City Hall, February the 2nd through the 4th, and to be paid out of the MSOF funds.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bishop, second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Other than the review, that's all I have.
Well, I was gonna say it's gonna be a short meeting today, but it.
Yeah, I did have a lunch I was supposed to go to 11:30.
Yeah, I had 2. Does anyone have any questions on the agendas?
I'm not gonna be here, but I do have a couple of questions.
You do? Surely not.
Surprise, surprise, huh?
Which ones?
On the consent, I'm guessing we got scheduled in, we budgeted for that pumper?
Yes, it
Okay.
was a scheduled item, and the reason that we're bringing it onto the minutes is if there is any round money that becomes available, we have to show that the board approved it, accepted it, and that we did not lease purchase it.
Okay. So what is the next item? The data procurement?
On the software that y'all gave us permission to approve for the, road maintenance department, it was my understanding, as well as Dale's, that it was on state contract. has gone through state contract for the state, and we can procure anything by using their ITS department. You know, we can do that and use their state contract. It is not listed under us. They are not funded by the legislature, so they charge to make this procurement happen. However, the vendor said that he will compensate for that amount that we will be charged, that won't exceed $560, and he'll take it off of their end.
Out of his 40,000?
Not quite 40.
Okay.
Didn't we get a discount?
Yes, we did get some discount on it already, and he said that he would make sure that this was in it.
All right. Glad I don't have to be here to vote against that too. All right. The next one down, the 5,000 and the 40,000 and the 10,000.
Those are budget amendments. There is no increase. It's strictly moving line items.
Okay. All right.
There is no increase.
So you're gonna be out?
I'm not gonna be here Monday.
Man, District 5 might change.
A lot.
Y'all welcome to most of it. I got 2 opponents. Which one you want?
Any more questions on the agenda for Monday?
Just glad I don't have Ian Brandon anymore.
Did you get that, Chuck?
Got Brian like that. Wake up, over Chuck.
Okay, do I have a motion
I got one question.
Uh-oh.
The damage to Langford, is this what we looked at a few months ago and we wasn't gonna pay for?
Unless there was some verbiage in it.
It was a parking lot that they said that a truck caused damage to the concrete. Is this it?
I was Southwest Rankin.
Okay.
Down south.
All right.
Yeah.
We didn't.
Okay.
We turned it over to the contractor that caused damage. Can't even call it damage. Turned it over to the contractor that caused damage.
Yeah.
And their insurer came out and looked at it and decided that they weren't interested in paying for it. So there
Not much
was
else we
no
can
other
do.
recourse for the volunteer fire department on that particular matter. Jake, and I'm glad you pointed that out. Y'all remember we adopted a policy on how to deal with damage to private property as a response to emergency operations. This
Yeah.
falls under that category.
Right.
And they sent in the required documentation on it. They handled it just right.
Good.
They didn't wait. They got it to us like a day after.
Good.
How
So
much
they
we
were
talking
listening.
I
about?
was very pleased with
Good.
the way they handled it.
How much is it?
It can't be more than $2,500 total.
Okay.
And don't forget that we have our road crew go out and effect
Right.
repair. We just keep up with what does that cost our road crew.
Right.
And the cap is $2,500.
All right.
We don't reimburse anybody, so if they ran out the day after it happened and had some third party come in to do the damage repair, they're out of luck.
Right.
It's only what our guys can take care of.
Yeah, our verbiage covered all that. I remember we were.
Correct.
So I was glad. I mean, I think that they were very receptive to that. So I remember that huge meeting we had on that. So
They handled it right.
great.
Under agreements we've already approved that. Why are we approving it again?
We're executing the document because we didn't have the contract at the time that y'all discussed it. And then Craig had to review the contract, and now it's coming forward for execution.
All right, one last thing. We have on here to hire a part-time person for the pavilion out there. Should we not hire a full-time person before we go hiring a part-time person?
We talked about that several times.
Talked about it, and right now, all the weekends, but about 8 weekends are booked for the whole year. We just need somebody out there. Tricia's having to work all of them.
So why don't we just go ahead and hire somebody then to, I mean,
Full-time
We couldn't
weekends?
find anybody to hire.
Because
Jay.
That's the problem. We couldn't find anyone that was suitable that
and
fit
not
the.
to do
well, maybe we ought to
job-
loosen up our criteria some.
Not to do the job either, that was, what we wanted to do was to promote it. Well, if it's already booked for most of those weekends, there's not very much somebody can promote for a salary of 30 to 35,000 a year.
So we
But
need
this-
somebody to come run it.
But this person, part-time, will be able to take like every other weekend, like, you know, Trish be there in control of this one and then somebody else to give her relief. If not, she'll be there for all of those weekends.
So are we not looking to fill that position then?
Not right now,
We're not gonna need anybody?
not right now. If, we're gonna see how this part-time works first.
He'd
and then
probably
see
get on tractor
How much
and-
we have left that we
Well,
can.
I just know that if we do hire some full-time, this part-timer ain't going away, you know?
Well, we have in the budget for not only Trish, but a manager and a part-time person.
But I don't mean we have to fill it, we got
No,
in the
that's
budget.
true, but what we'll say right now is allowing the part-time to come in and see if they can help with all these weekends, and then maybe that could work into full-time for them, or they could see,
It's a way to
we might
test
find
drive him.
Be good test drive for him, yeah.
Yep.
Make
I-
out, he may
I've got
end
a
up being
part-time
the
job, it's not
director.
part-time.
Cool.
And I hate Sheriff left, I'd say, the fact that he's got, someone out there, I know you probably have already heard it, but it just means all difference in the world.
Oh, yeah,
Whatever,
Trish,
rather-
Trish has told me it's gone 110% just
Better
since
by
first flipped.
having them present.
I appreciate your help, though,
Yep. All right, anything else?
early.
Do I have a motion to adjourn until February 2nd, 2015, 9 a.m.? Motion by Mr. Morrison,
Second.
second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
That's it, yeah.
Let's leave these and take them, Janet.
Janice,
I gotta have some signatures.
Janice.
What?
Can't really blame him for trying.